Here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation, NBA Nation on this Sunday evening. This is the annual NBA Free Agency Show. CP the Franchise, Alex Rotaros in the building. Special guest, our guy Tommy Beer is here from the What's on Tap with Tommy Beer newsletter. Big time Knicks Twitter honcho. We are back, man. Second year in a row for Tommy Beer, man. He's rocking with us. So thanks again for coming on, my dude. And let's get right into it. On this free agency, especially where the Knicks are concerned, it is all about what happens to Isaiah Hartenstein. Reports are that Hartenstein, as expected, will meet with the Thunder or Detroit, and many think that Orlando is also on his list. For the Knicks, they are, attempting to get to Hartenstein's number. We know that the max they can offer him is $72 million, 4-year, $72 million deal. However, he could get more, maybe for less years out there on the open market. We just saw Nick Claxton get $100 million for 4 years with the Nets. So, Tommy, I'll start with you, man. What's your take on Hartenstein and what's your gut telling you?
All right, CP. So it is 6:12 as we speak right now. Surprisingly, there haven't, usually we get the flood of, it's quiet. It's quiet. There's only 2 deals that have been agreed to as far as it looks like on my end. Luke Cornett re-signing with the Celtics for 1 year, and Kevin Love back to Miami on a 2-year deal. But other than that, and the Harden deal, which was technically a re-signing, so it went down. Could be announced before 6. But you know how these things usually go. There's usually a couple big names off the board at 6:01. At 5 minutes within. Magically they've come to terms. So I'll take that as a relatively good sign. The fact that we haven't got a tweet yet from Woj or Shams or whoever saying that Isaiah Hartenstein has agreed to a 4-year $95 million deal with Orlando or a 4-year $100 million deal with OKC, we'll take that as a good sign. We'll kind of see how things play out. Obviously, that doesn't mean that there's not a deal that has gone down. There's not something that's been agreed to. Maybe agents and players and teams are getting smarter and avoiding the getting docked a second-round pick like we've seen the Knicks get done with the Brunson, even though that was not a time-sensitive situation. Maybe the NBA stepped in and said, "Hey guys, at least make it look like you haven't been talking and agreeing to deals for 2 days ahead of time." For whatever reason, there haven't been any deals announced yet, so we'll take that as potentially good sign that the Knicks are still in this thing, and that's what we could probably hope for. The best case scenario probably is to come out of tonight with Isaiah Hartenstein still unsigned, which means the Knicks have a crack at it.
I'm wondering though, timing wise, right? Because the Bridges deal isn't done. There's been talks that, the Knicks are going to be looking at, like I said, to add more outgoing salary to not hard cap themselves at the first apron. And so, is it a waiting game here where iHeart and his camp are waiting for the Knicks to get that money? At the same time, can they afford to wait while OKC, the Magic, and the Detroit Pistons may have interest in holding over a big bag over his head? So I'm curious to see if there's a waiting game here on all 3 sides.
I would expect that there is a waiting game. I mean, Hartenstein has given Tom Thibodeau his credit for his development and his rise to becoming a starting center in this league, right? And we saw the transformation of the Knicks offense and defense with him in that starting rotation. It was a much more balanced team. Now you throw Mikal Bridges into this mix where you're going to have Brunson, Bridges, OG, Randall, and then Hartenstein as a starting 5. That could be even more dynamic than what we saw with Dante in that starting rotation. So I think for Hartenstein, the conflict is, do you want to be part of something special or do you want to go get the bag right now? And, with OKC, that could be saying, you can get both the money and be part of something special right there. But there's also, let's be real, there is an emotional tie to things when you're part of something and you've seen from the ground up how you're able to be part of a change and watch a team be successful. So I think for Hartenstein, it is a waiting game, CP and Tommy. I think he is waiting to see, can they get the money? I mean, we just got from Adrian Wojnarowski earlier today saying that the second apron is just a shy under what it was projected, right? So now with that being said, you talk about the Knicks just trying to figure out everything. You see Precious was let go. You see that the Knicks don't want to let Deuce, but as you mentioned, CP, they're trying to figure out what outgoing salary there will be so that way they can get to this number. So I think there's just a lot of moving parts right now. They're trying to get that all figured out. I think for Hartenstein, there's also a waiting game, and how long can he wait too? Because the Thunder want to make the deal. Orlando wants to make a deal. So the Knicks have so much pressure right now to try to keep that starting five that they just had, from last season. But I do expect that they're trying to figure something out. I mean, look at just the draft, right? Like, they could have taken Kolek in the first round. They're able to get a guy that they want in the second round. I saw you talk about it with our guy Combo on Combo's court. You get to pay him a little bit less money, man. They're trying to figure out how to squeeze the most out of their wallet. So I think there's still a waiting game with Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah, no question about it. Tommy, you had shared this clip from our guy Bobby Marks. I'm going to play the clip and then ask you to react to it. This is Bobby Marks from ESPN's free agency show on the Knicks and their cap situation right now. Here's Bobby Marks.
It has not been official. I would expect that to get done on July 6th. I would expect it to expand. I would expect New York to add a player in the mix, whether it be a player on their roster or a player used in a sign and trade. The Knicks are not going to hard cap themselves at the first apron. That's not happening. So they'll hard cap themselves at the second apron, which is 189.5. It will give them an $11 million more in flexibility. They'll have $20 million basically to fill out their roster. If they trade Mitchell Robinson, they will be able to hopefully bring back Isaiah Hartenstein. He will get offers once free agency opens. Certainly keep an eye on Orlando for him. Keep an eye on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in Orlando. They have $52 million.
All right, that was our guy, Bobby Marks. Tommy, what's your take on it?
Yeah, so just a couple things. Just as you mentioned, in the last couple hours or so, NBA released its salary information for the upcoming 24-25 season, and as Alex noted, the salary cap is slightly lower than expected at about $140.6 million. Consequently, the second apron is about equally correspondingly a little bit shorter, about 188.9 as opposed to north of 189. Again, for a Knicks team, every dollar counts. Every 100K doesn't seem like a lot when you're talking 189 million. But for the Knicks, I will say this: Knicks fans should be confident in what Brock Aller has done. What the Rosas, what obviously Leon Rose is kind of the CEO of the operation there. The way they've handled business in the past should be very encouraging the last couple of years. What they did in draft day. Again, manipulating the cap in such a way that they have one of the smartest, capology, cap gurus departments. So while we're kind of stressing and wondering what's going to happen and trying to calculate a million different scenarios, they've planned all these out, they've figured out exactly, should Ihart leave? Here's plans B, C, D, F, should Ihart stay? Here's what we do with the remaining, how to get to that remaining number. So yes, while obviously you'd love to get a resolution to the Hartenstein situation within the next 10 minutes or so, waiting a day or two is not going to take a long time. It's not a situation where, it's a restricted free agent and the other team has 48 hours to make a deal. Once Ihart lets the Knicks know kind of what they're doing, then the Knicks will be able to proceed accordingly and figure out, from there, they still want to go to that second apron hard cap, which will give them approximately like $11 million more to spend. And obviously that's significant whether they re-sign Hartenstein or not. That they'll be able to sign his replacement. They'll have more money to resign his replacement. So these are kind of the situations that'll play itself out, over the next day or so, the next hour or so potentially. But I think probably from Hartenstein's perspective, the first domino to fall is Paul George. If he goes to Philadelphia, how does that impact Orlando? Does Orlando now realize they're not going to get Paul George, and maybe Klay Thompson signs, somewhere else? They're going to make a full effort towards Ihart. Does OKC have a plan A ahead of Hartenstein if that falls through? Would they make a run at Paul George? Who knows? It doesn't sound like that's one of the teams he's meeting with. But these are all kind of the first big dominoes to fall. And it's not like Hartenstein's 9th, 10th, 11th down the list. he's one of the first 5 or 6 guys that, you would assume once those top tier guys are off the table, that's when the Orlandos, the Philadelphias, he not likely a landing spot for Hartenstein, but probably just, I don't think he'd go to Detroit. But again, some team offers you $100 million. And just to Alex's point real quick, I think if all things are equal, he's going to re-sign with the Knicks. Even if, another team's only willing to go $80 million over 4 years, whereas the Knicks can offer 72.5. I still think he leaned towards New York, even giving the tax, the way he'd be hurt, via the taxes in New York State. Again, his wife's a supermodel, happy wife, happy life. Does she want to live in Oklahoma City? I don't know.
Yeah.
But these are all things that kind of have been speculated, to and fro. He seems to be really happy with your organization. They've given him a chance to win. I don't see him leaving, but again, on the flip side, somebody offers you $100 million, $20 million. This is not a guy that has $200 million in the bank either. This is his first massive contract. He had to settle for an $8 million, $16 million for 2 years. So those are kind of the things I think will be sorted out the next day or so.
There's always Detroit, man. If you want to hit the lotto, Detroit is available, man. I called it the Night's Watch. They just traded for Tim Hardaway Jr. I said, damn, he went from the NBA Finals to the Night's Watch. My guy Quentin Grimes got freed. He's going back to the crib. He gets to get his career back on track. But there's always Detroit where they got to get to that salary cap floor, and they have no choice but to give out big bags. And that could be Tobias Harris. That could be iHeart. And let's see what happens when Trajan Langdon sits across from him at that table.
Or it could be Precious Achiuwa in a sign and trade as the third team in the Knicks. There's a lot of ways that the team, the Knicks don't necessarily have to send the excess contract value to Brooklyn. They can involve a third team, which as long as they have to add about $4.5 million in value. That could be to a third team. Knicks would obviously have to attach draft capital, maybe a couple second-round picks. That's so something to keep in mind.
Hey, Al, what do you think, man? Backup plan. What's plan B if they lose him?
Oh, man. Drummond. Drummond's out there. Valanciunas is another center.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you were thinking about centers, right, you got to think about someone who's going to be versatile on the perimeter, who's going to be able to cover in the pick and roll. So, like, Valanciunas, even though he could be an option, I don't see that really as a Tom Thibodeau guy. Drummond probably a little bit more so just because he's got the quick feet to keep moving on the perimeter and just a guard in the pick and roll. Not the greatest, but still he can do it. But someone along those lines, man. Those are the two top guys that I'm thinking of when thinking about center options. We can't even rule out Precious. Even though they let him go, they could potentially bring him back on a cheaper deal.
Yeah.
And they could say, hey, Precious, you could be our 5, and maybe we roll with him. He did a solid job when we had both centers out. So that's another option. And I would prefer probably Precious over the other two guys that I named just because he knows the system. He's bought in. You saw his transformation as a guy who was ousted out of Miami. Toronto fans were saying, don't even buy this guy. He comes to New York and then makes a name for himself, right? Bronx native too. Why wouldn't he want to continue to play for the Knicks? That's an option I would say. I know that like I said, they released him, but probably that's another way to say, hey, we'll bring you back, cheaper deal. You get to still stay in New York. That's another option I'm thinking for New York.
Yeah, Tommy, what do you think, man? Backup plan.
Yeah, so let me centers available. I ranked them. Here's just reading down the list. Mo Wagner, he had a team option. Magic did not pick that up. It's been reported that he's on the market. Drummond, as Alex mentioned, Jalen Smith declined his player option. He's a guy that intrigues me. Can step out, knock down the 3, bring a little bit something different to the table than the Knicks have had. Potentially play a little stretch 5, but also give some interior strength and protect the rim, etc. Drop defender. Drew Eubanks, he's on the market. Xavier Tillman, we saw him get a little bit of burn for the Celtics. Mason Plumlee, Goga Bitadze is a name that's been frequently mentioned as a low-cost option. James Wiseman, completely unrestricted after the aforementioned Pistons let him go. Mo Bamba, Alex Len, Rashawn Holmes. Christian Wood, Dario Saric, an interesting name. So there'll be guys out there. We'll kind of see how it plays out. But obviously, the priority, the hope, is that they can re-sign Hartenstein.
Yeah.
And then obviously, do they keep Mitch? If they re-sign Hartenstein, do they trade Mitch? Maybe one of these other guys can come in if they deal out Mitch, and they obviously will need a backup 5.
Yeah, I think either way, they're going to be in desperate need of insurance, man. Like, they need a good backup plan. That's why I would lean to Drummond as being the top choice. We'll see what his market is and how much money the Knicks would have to potentially pay him. Is it down to the taxpayer mid-level, which is around $5 million? Is it a little bit less? We'd have to see based on, how things shake out with the Mikal Bridges trade. But I just feel like if you lose iHeart, and Mitch has been coming out against people. He doesn't want to hear the injury-prone tag. I hear that. But reality is, if he goes down, they're screwed. So, to me, I lean with Drummond. He keeps them as a top rebounding team. As Alex said, he's light on the feet. He can play some defense. He's a good stealer. Durable. Give you as good insurance.
New Rochelle kid too.
Bring Drummond home. That's what I would go with. You need some insurance policy and some experience in the event that you lose either Mitch or iHeart. Whether it's in the offseason or during the season, man. So
absolutely, and this is a win now team too. So he fits that mold. And he's younger than you think. I think he's only 30 years old. It's not he's been around forever, but he's still relatively young in that respect.
Yeah, Andre Drummond.
I got to correct you, Tommy, because it's Mount Vernon. I know people in the chat like to talk about Mount Vernon, but it's Mount Vernon.
It's money earning, man. Money earning.
Money earning. There you go. See, money earning Mount Vernon. That's correct.
Absolutely, man. Knicks Nation, call us up 657-383-1509, or you can hit us up on the KFTV Discord. Let us know what you think about a relatively quiet free agency, but where the Knicks are concerned, it's all about Isaiah Hartenstein and where he could potentially be going. It doesn't seem like much tampering is going on right now. It's kind of quiet. Guys actually, going by the rules here and taking these meetings starting today and this week. It was announced that Paul George is going to be meeting with the Clippers, the Magic, and the Sixers until starting tonight. So I thought that was very interesting, man. But yeah, PG's another guy who, a lot of waiting to see what happens. Opted out of the final year of his deal at $48 million. Obviously, the Clippers are out there. The reports are that they only want to offer him a deal in the 3-year range. He wants 4. Tommy, how do you see this thing shaking out here?
I think obviously iHeart you talking about?
Paul George.
Paul George. Yeah, it sounds like he wants 4, and I expect him to get 4, whether that be from the Sixers. I think it was Hayes that tweeted out earlier today that the Sixers he's leaning towards the Sixers, something along those lines. So it sounds like they're the favorite. And we'll see how that impacts the Knicks too, because obviously Knicks fans would prefer he not end up in Philadelphia. If the Sixers don't get him, how do they, what's their plan B? Where do they pivot to? For the Clippers, it would be devastating to lose Paul George and not have anything to show for it. Remember, they not only gave up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the trade to acquire Paul George, but a boatload of picks, some of which are still coming due. So for them to move into their new building, with an injury-prone Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, past his prime, that is not an ideal situation for Steve Ballmer. So I'm surprised they let it get to this point. At this stage of the game, I wouldn't be surprised if they let him loose. But I think it's probably going to come down to either Philly or the Clippers. And Knicks fans are certainly hoping that the Clippers do what they need to do.
Al, I'm going to play here's the clip from Chris Haynes on the NBA TV free agency show on the PG situation. Let's hear it, and then Al, I want you to respond to it. Here we go.
Well, as of right now, I believe the Clippers are huddling. They're waiting for their opportunity to when they're going to meet, and I believe that's going to be Lawrence Frank meeting with Paul George and his agent Aaron Mintz today, and so. It sounds like it's going to take a Hail Mary. That's what it sounds like. It's going to take a Hail Mary for the Clippers to keep Paul George. But as of right, anything can change. Still got what, an hour and a half away from the official start of free agency. So I'll say that.
All right, Al, what do you think, man? Hail Mary for Paul George to go back to the Clippers, man.
That's crazy. If you're thinking about Steve Ballmer, who is now what? You spend so much money on the new arena to make your
wall and everything.
The
right?
wall, yes, the wall, and so you spent all this money. You're supposed to headline with PG, Kawhi. You also have Russ on that team. Like, a good team too, right? And now the fact that it's gotten to this point where PG could be on the out and go into Philadelphia, and look, if it's not the Clippers, I expect it to be Philly. Although I would say that if there was to be a mystery team, I feel like Indiana should be that mystery team. Go back home to where it all started and go join a team like that. I don't necessarily see it happening, but I feel like that would be like a little nice reunion out there that they need a wing over in Indy. But for the Clippers, like, you're losing an all-star. You're losing your second guy. So if that's who you're losing, and you're not, and look, I get that it's both been Paul George and Kawhi who dealt with a lot of injuries being out in LA. You're going to go with Kawhi because he's the guy that came to you in free agency. This is the guy that has won 2 NBA titles. So that's why it made sense to extend him. PG, even though he's been an all-star, he's that type of player. He hasn't necessarily shown that he's the guy that you can constantly invest in and that'll take it to the promised land. And let's be frank, he's fallen short in postseasons where you needed him most. And so even though he had a really good season this year, I understand not extending him, waiting to get it to free agency and seeing if you could have an honest negotiation, see if you can get him back in LA so that way you can continue whatever they have out there. But at this point, if Chris Haynes believes it, you know how tapped in Haynes is. If he believes it's a Hail Mary for the Clippers to get him, I expect this guy to go out to Philly, which is very interesting. Look, I find it interesting because this is a guy who wanted to go back home. This is a guy who wanted to be back on the West Coast. And so now for him to go out east to Philadelphia, which, look, it's no guarantee for them either. You're talking about, you need Embiid and Paul George to be healthy in the postseason, which is no guarantee whatsoever based on their history. Like, it would be good for Philadelphia if everything plays out right. But hey, man, that's shocking that it's come to this point, though.
Yeah.
And I would say, if you can't get Paul George back in the building, what does that say to Kawhi? And even though he has the extension, is he going to try to pull some leverage? Because, guys, we've seen the NBA now where you even sign the bag. It doesn't mean you're guaranteed to that team. You could go a few months in and be like, oh, things stink. I want to trade right now.
Yeah, Uncle Dennis might get him up out of there, man.
And then when he demands a trade, how long is Harden stick around?
Right, right.
Oh, boy.
It's a tough bet that they made, man. Like you said, pulling off that trade to even get Paul George. Now you run the risk of losing him for nothing. New stadium, and all you're left with is an old James Harden and an injury-prone Kawhi Leonard. That's a tough sell, man. But for Paul George, look, the ball is in his court. You have a couple of teams who are desperate for you. Philadelphia needs him. Orlando needs him. He's going to go out there and get the bag. And for Philadelphia, look, it could be the walking woundeds, but they've got the money to pay him. I'm sure they will be willing to pay him the years. And if they get him, look, they're going to be right up there in the East, man. They're going to be a problem.
From a Knicks perspective, the ideal scenario is probably him going to Orlando, which would eat up Orlando's cap space and knock them, or OKC, and take them out as a contender for iHeart. That's kind of the, something to keep an eye on. There's only 3 or 4 teams, I think, that are real. And I think that's why the Knicks are still holding out hope, because even though OKC has told iHeart, listen, if option 1 and 2 fall through, we're going to throw $90 million at you. Same with Orlando. Maybe those, with the understanding that if Paul George wants to come, we love you, iHeart. But so Knicks would have that fallback option and then be able to make, so they're keeping their options open.
And according to Shams, sources say OKC Thunder are in Eugene, Oregon, set to meet with Isaiah Hartenstein. All right, so the meeting is taking place. iHeart is hosting. Hey, it's his first real dance at free agency, man. So, play it out, get courted, see what's what, and then make a decision. I don't think we'll get a decision today. At least it doesn't seem like it. So, but look, we knew this, man. OKC had the cap space. They need a big man. Whether it's on the short-term basis, we'll see what's what. But they were the top team for me to go after him, and I think they will make a strong case to get him out of New York, man.
Yeah, and they can offer, like I said, upwards of $100 million. The fit doesn't seem great for me. Chet Holmgren seems like a natural 5.
I think we lost. I think we might have lost Alex. Hang on, hang tight. Let me reset the screens here. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up one for you boys. CP the franchise, Tommy Beer in the building. Just waiting on Alex. I think we lost his feed. We've been having some rainstorms going on here in the area, in the New York area, and where Alex is as well. So he might have lost some power. So in the meantime, let me reset the show here. Let me reset the graphics. Get me and Tommy up in here. You can call us up, 657-383-1509, or you can hit us up on the KFTV Discord. And let me get to the phones, man. 347, what's your name? Where you calling in from? 347. Do we have 347 on there? All right, we'll put him on mute. 201, what's your name? Where you calling in from?
Yo, this is Ice Water.
Ice Water, what's going on, man? Long time, man. How you been?
Yeah, man, been good. How about you?
Yeah, doing all right, man. Good to hear from you, bro.
Yeah. Won money on the Knicks this year. I bet that the Knicks will win 50 games at the start of the season.
That's right. That's right. You've been on that 50 burger for a minute now.
I just want to ask, losing Hartenstein, in your opinion, would that be like a huge loss to the lineup? I mean, Mitch is not the offensive player that Hartenstein is, but he's a better defensive player in my opinion. And if you were to get Drummond, I think that's just a viable 1-2 option. How do you feel about it? And thanks for taking the call.
Yeah. Appreciate the call, man. And it's not to sleep on Mitch, Tommy. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of people say, "Oh, you guys are disrespecting Mitch Robinson." No, not at all. I think when the Knicks had both of those guys, they were great. But the numbers don't lie when it comes to iHeart, man. I mean, 7 points per 100 possessions better when he's on the floor. An efficient offense, 4 percentage points better effective field goal percentage when you have iHeart. You could run offense through him. 2-man game with him and Brunson. He's operating out of that pinch post, out of the elbow. Like it's just versatility, man. And when you're in the type of system that Tibbs runs, you need centers that are going to be short-handed, high IQ, quick decision makers. His floater was on the money. I just feel like he played better with that unit. It's not that Mitch doesn't. Mitch will bring a different element to that unit, but iHeart to me just flowed a lot better, and he showed it a lot more this past season.
Versatility and durability.
Durability.
Key factors in terms of why iHeart is so valuable, why the Knicks want to keep him so much. As you mentioned, facilitating offense out of that high post, prevents double teams. With Mikal Bridges, another excellent defender coming aboard. Even though Mitch is a great defender, iHeart proved himself to be a really quality defender too. Look at the defensive rating, etc. All those numbers. In terms of the drop off. Remember, it's also fair to point out in December, before he got hurt, Mitch was making a case for Defensive Player of the Year.
Right,
a legitimate case. He was playing that well, best offensive rebounder in the sport. Of course, the question is, will he be healthy, for the duration of a season, more importantly, into the postseason? That's the question to be answered. Hopefully that's the case. You have him under a team-friendly contract. If they lose iHeart, obviously it'll be very interesting to see how they pivot. Do they create enough cap space for that full mid-level exception? They can bring in a guy for $12 million, a Valanciunas type player. That alleviates a lot of the concerns if they were able to get a player of his caliber. Unfortunately, one of those. He's really the only top. I wouldn't even put him in the same tier as Claxton, who's going back to Brooklyn and iHeart. But after him, then you get into the Mo Wagners, the Andre Drummonds of the world. While capable. Some upside, obviously not in the same level, the same caliber player as iHeart. So, and of course the other option is, do they really reconsider, the Randall situation? Do they trade Randall for a top tier center? If another team wants to go that route, because ideally probably Bridges, and you'd prefer to keep DiVincenzo in the starting lineup. A Brunson, DiVincenzo, Bridges, OG, and then another center. Or a Jared Allen type player maybe. If you're gonna put Randall on the board, then you can really start talking about some quality bigs, some quality fives, all-star caliber fives. So a lot of things to discuss. Even if they hold on to Randall and decide to trade a player. Walker Kessler out in Utah, his name has been mentioned. Wendell Carter Jr. out in Orlando. There are some teams with some bigs available, so they'll be able to get another backup. And as we talked about, we know the Knicks have a lot of Plan Bs and Cs and Ds in place. So it'll be fascinating to see how it plays out. It won't be a devastating loss that the Knicks will never be able to recover from should they lose Hartenstein. But the ideal scenario would be re-signing.
CP the Franchise, Tommy Beer on the ones and twos. NBA Free Agency Show 2024, and pretty quiet so far, man. Not too much going on. We do have a couple of deals that have trickled in since the 6 o'clock start time. Kevin Love agrees to a 2-year, $8 million deal to return to the Miami Heat. There were some rumblings there as to whether or not he was going to return. You got James Harden, 2-year, $70 million contract to return to the Los Angeles Clippers. CP3 has been cut by the Golden State Warriors. I think that was kind of expected. We'll see where he lands. Where do you think he goes? I think he goes to the Lakers.
Would the former Leon Rose client consider coming to New York
again
on a vet minimum? Tutoring Kolek and Deuce and obviously playing alongside Brunson, spend a year in New York City. Do you think that's something he'd consider?
It's hard to say because the last time they had a shot, the reports were that he wants to stay out west with his family.
Right.
So, that's why I'm like, all right, he was in Phoenix. He was in Clippers. OKC was Midwest, but then he gets to Golden State eventually. Does he go to the Lakers to go be with LeBron and the guys, or does he help Leon out?
I think Lakers are the most likely scenario. But the Lakers, their roster spots are fixed quickly. They just signed Max Christie. It was announced a 4-year, $32 million deal right before they re-signed him, their former draft pick. We'll see. Listen, they would certainly, you would think, create a roster spot for Chris Paul if he was willing to come, but you'd assume if he asked it. But again, also if another team's willing to offer $20 million over 2 years, something like that, you assume he's going to take the money and secure the bag. But if he's left to choose between minimum level teams offering minimum levels, I think he at least give Leon Rose, out of respect, a meeting. How many teams which team has a better chance of making the finals? You'd think, getting a ring is what motivates Chris Paul at this stage of the game. The Knicks or the Lakers, I think most pundits would assume that the Knicks have a better chance, if slightly better. The Lakers are you'd assume going to make the you would improve upon what they did last year, make the secure spot in one of the top 6 seeds. But the West is just so tough, man. The East obviously has the best team in the league with the Celtics, but outside of that, you could make a very strong case that the Knicks are the second best team, depending on whether Paul George re-signs in Philadelphia. I think most folks would still say that the Knicks have the second best odds of advancing to the finals, and obviously the Bucks are going to bounce back, etc. But I think Paul would be interested. I think there's obviously a need there from a backup point guard perspective, and there's a natural fit in terms of an opportunity to win a ring, relationship with the front office, etc. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, definitely interesting. And on the Lakers front, you had LeBron James opting out of his deal, his final year of his deal, which was expected, and now it's expected that he will re-up with the Lakers around 3 years, 160. I think what was the number there. What do you think about that, man? They've got JJ, they've got Bronny. What's going on in Tinseltown, man? What do you think about the Lakers moves?
Yeah, fascinating situation out there. First of all, I don't have an issue with them drafting Bronny.
Yeah.
Listen, nepotism happens in every business.
It's life. It's life, man.
It's like, my thing is, I assume 99% of the people complaining about it can't name a single 55th overall pick in the history of the league.
Right.
The chances of those guys making a significant impact are minimal. If it increases the chances of LeBron James returning to your organization, even a fraction of a percent, then you do it. So smart business by the Lakers and people belly aching. As far as LeBron goes, after leaving Miami, when he signed with Miami, he took less than the max, a lot of folks, a lot of owners said, listen, if LeBron's willing to take less than the max, sacrifice, then you should as well. At that point, LeBron said, I'm going to take the full max every year for the rest of my career. He had done that in Cleveland. He had done that with LA up to this year. And interestingly, according to reports, Rich Paul is saying if the Lakers have an opportunity to, in other words, if LeBron takes less than the max, that leaves the Lakers with the full mid-level exception will be around $12.5 to $13 million a year. So LeBron essentially reportedly said, if you guys can get Valanciunas or Klay Thompson or somebody of that caliber with that mid-level exception, I'll take less than the max, so you can get both of us for relatively the same price. So we'll see how that plays out. And that is certainly a very interesting situation to keep an eye on. If they could get LeBron, Valanciunas, Chris Paul, immediately significantly improve their roster with Dalton Connect, with 17 in the draft. That was a great pick by them as well.
I think this ends in a disaster, man. I just think, look, from the time they got LeBron there, They gutted the team to get AD perfect. They won the championship, whether you want to say asterisk, bubble, whatever. They accomplished what they needed to accomplish, and they got everybody a ring, and they were able to get richer because of it. But when you sell your soul that way, it's hard to stay on top. And this is where the Lakers find themselves in, man. They're trying to figure this thing out and investing in an over 40 LeBron James. This is just not going to end well, man. Look, I love the fact that he's still on top of the sport. It's amazing. I don't think that gets appreciated enough. It's way too much. Oh, LeBron, this, LeBron. The LeBron hate is so ridiculous that when he's out of the league, they're going to be missing him. They're going to be missing him badly on the ratings because no one else is going to be able to take over as the face of the league. At least not yet. No one else has been able to captivate the league like that. But, again, he's over 40. Yes, you have AD there. But the problem with the Lakers is they haven't found that guy that can take over as the lead horse for them. As an insurance policy. Austin Reeves, he's okay, but he hasn't really assumed that role. And now, they lost DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray went to the Pelicans. Yes, he's saying if they can get somebody of impact with a mid-level, it'll take less. But is Klay Thompson really what you're going to rely on to help make this team better and help turn your team around when the entire West is loaded? I just think, the sand in the hourglass is running out on them. And ultimately, they need to just gut the team and give J.J. Redick what he needs. If he's even still going to be there. Who knows? Who knows? He may take this as a 2-year deal and go back to the podcast and be good.
That's the thing with LeBron is you do sell your soul. You understand you have to trade all your future draft picks, all your capital in order to make a run. And it won him a championship. It'll put him in contention this year. But yeah, make no mistake. It is the Hollywood Tinseltown storyline will be captivating this year. Does Bronny play? Does he get off the bench? And obviously we'll see how they round out their roster here. Tweet from Shams.
Oh, what we got?
The Clippers are actively working on trades to move Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
Sources. So I don't know why Russell Westbrook would opt in, and then the Clippers would try to trade him, presumably to create cap space to fall further under the luxury tax to make the re-signing of Paul George less of a hard hit. But yeah, the Clippers are playing with fire by letting Paul George. Because again, I think the difference is only like $11 million. I think the Philly or any non-Clippers team can offer him 4 years.
Yeah, it's about 11.
Yeah, 4 years, like $211 million. Yeah. The Clippers, now that he's a free agent, can only offer 4 years, $220 million, $22 million. So there's minimal difference. It's not like they can tack on a fifth year. It's not like they can offer $50 million more. So if Paul George feels disrespected, we'll see how it plays out. But certainly something to keep an eye on.
So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for your boys, CP the Franchise, Tommy Beer in here. We're going to get Alex back in here. Looks like he's back powered up. Call us up, 657-383-1509, or you can hit us up on the KFTV Discord. Also, remember that this show is brought to you by Manscaped, fellas, #1 men's grooming tool, both above and below the waist. Support our sponsors at Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Use our code KFTV for 20% off plus free shipping. Okay, let's get Alex back in here, and we should be good to go, man. And we'll get back to the phones as well, and hear what the people got to say, man. I heart Paul George. I don't know. I had a ton of callers on the line, and it must have dropped off. Looks like we might be having a switchboard issue due to the storm. So we'll go to the Discord and get Ari in here. Ari, what's going on? Ari from Manhattan, going once. Ari, are you there? I don't think I got Ari. All right, Ari. When you hear this, go ahead and unmute your mic. All right, Al, just catching you up here, man. The Thunder are in Eugene, Oregon, meeting with iHeart and his camp. We were talking about Paul George. You were talking about LeBron. What's your thoughts on OKC as the potential iHeart landing spot, man?
I mean, they're a legitimate threat just because they were successful this season, right? They made it to the second round of the playoffs. You know, they lost to the Dallas Mavericks, but they're in need of a center. You want to move Chet to the 4, and I think you can sell Isaiah Hartenstein of him being a critical piece after what he did with the Knicks, saying, "Hey, what you did with New York, you could translate that to OKC as well." And think about it, you'd be playing with SGA, Jalen Williams, Chet. You'd be in that starting 5. You'd be in the mix, and I think that's a very good sell for somebody like Paul George, who would also. Paul George, Isaiah Hartenstein, who would also be getting his bag, right? So you get your bag and you're still being competitive. The only thing is that it'll be a tougher Western Conference. It won't be, a heavily favored team like the Knicks are in the East right now, because as we see from certain sports books, it's Boston, New York right there where it comes to power rankings. So that's the one thing I'll say for Isaiah Hartenstein that he has to think of is, once again, do you want to be part of an OKC team? And there's nothing wrong with saying, yes, I want to get my money and go play for a good team, but you are going to a tougher Western Conference, unless you believe that things are going to shift so dramatically where then you joining the Thunder, you're now going to catapult them to another level, or do you stay with New York and see that all the way through? But look, they need a 5 out there in OKC. We saw that, man. Chet, You got to deal with Jokic. You're going to have Rudy Gobert, who's a solid, defensive player of the year, multiple times, I think 4-time defensive player of the year. Chet can potentially get up there as well. We've seen his defensive versatility, but is he more suited at the 4 where he can be that versatile threat? I think so. I think you'd rather have him there than playing the 5. So I think there's a good sell for Hartenstein if you decide to go out to OKC, man. That'll be tough. I mean, you also have the Clippers trying to work out on trying to move Russell Westbrook, which I think is very interesting. Yeah. That just came through the wire.
So, as far as Hartenstein, I guess we could read it a couple different ways. The fact that he's meeting with the Thunder, you could probably assume the Thunder are not offering $100 million, because if they were willing to put $100 million on the table, would a meeting really be necessary? Maybe the offers are similar, so we sell into the Thunder. Sell me on why I should leave the Knicks for relatively similar money. Maybe he's offering 75, 80 million, whatever the case might be. So let's sit down and have a conversation. Pitch me on why you think I should leave New York for a relatively similar payday. That's a situation. Maybe they are, offering, up to $100 million, but, iHeart has earned the right to be a highly coveted free agent. So he wants to go through the process, and before, leaving New York out of respect, he's just going to weigh out all his options and put it all on the table. Certainly concerning from a Knicks fan's perspective that he has agreed to that, that it's been reported that he's going to meet with OKC. I think at this stage of the game, we can probably expect them to leave with at least a handshake agreement, at some point tonight, tomorrow, whatever the case might be. I don't know if he's planning on meeting with other teams. I'm sure that'll get reported as well. But the fact that OKC is, you can only, if you're flying out to Oregon, obviously they're sending their top brass. That tells you that they're making him their number one priority, and you'd assume that they're willing to come with a checkbook that demands that that's going to make him sit up and take notice. So at this stage of the game, if it was whatever the percentages were, I think they lean even more heavily towards Isaiah leaving for OKC as we sit here at 7 o'clock on Sunday.
Shout out to Redman's MagFed Games. $20 super chat says Hartenstein, Anthony Davis, Victor Wembanyama as the only players with 85 blocks and 85 steals in a season. He became the first player since Moses Malone in 1982 to record 12 offensive rebounds and 5 assists in a playoff game. So my man he's dropping the Tommy Beer stats, man. Straight from the Basketball Reference, man.
Coming from my head right now.
I didn't see that one from you this year, man. I didn't see that one from you, bro.
Oh, I had that out there.
Okay.
Don't make me start pulling up the receipts now.
Shout out to Robert Sanders. $10 super chat says, this all comes down to Robinson or iHeart. Which one do y'all want? That's the dilemma. Hard choices. Choose one. Can't have two good centers. Hashtag keep it real. I mean, I don't think that's his choice. Choice is for iHeart. Do you take the Knicks money or do you take a potentially bigger bag out there? That's it, man.
Yeah, that's and nobody, no Knicks fan is going to feel, is going to hold anything against him if he accepts a $100 million deal. No teammate is. Everyone's going to say, listen, do what you. That's life changing, generational wealth. Nobody can get mad at him for that.
No question about it, man. So 7 o'clock here on the East Coast. Quiet so far on the NBA free agency front. We are still waiting to hear what's happening, but doesn't seem like you're going to get much big news with Paul George set to meet with the Clippers, the Magic, and the 76ers between tonight and tomorrow. Isaiah Hartenstein, the most coveted center on the market, is being courted as well. Who else we got out there? How about DeMar DeRozan? Is DeMar DeRozan going to stay with the Bulls? What do you guys think about the Bulls situation right now?
Real quick before we go Tony Jones, league sources indicate Westbrook has interest in playing in Denver. And then Jake Fisher of Yahoo echoes that sentiment. There appears to be a strong mutual interest between the Nuggets and Russell Westbrook, which is fascinating.
Okay. Brody going to Denver. Interesting. Go ahead, Al.
Also, the Clippers, according to Sham Charania, are looking to trade P.J. Tucker.
PJ and his 1,000 shoes are going to the Charlotte Hornets.
PJ and an unreleased sample of Jordan 4s.
Right. Hey, go to Charlotte. That'd be a great place for him, man.
There you go.
Tough sledding. So yeah. What do you think about Chicago's situation, man? They just signed Patrick Williams. That announcement came out. Patrick Williams got his bag, $90 million. Marks came on earlier this week saying that Zach LaVine might be the most toxic asset in the league right now. That they can't even put a first-round pick next to that contract. What's going on with Chicago, man? Can they get out of their own way?
Yeah, I've been, and obviously, there was guys that wanted to trade multiple first-round picks for Zach LaVine as recently as last year. So I've been very anti-Zach LaVine. I do think the sentiment has shifted a little bit too far now, where I believe there are teams that would take, an all-star caliber 29-year-old shooting guard if you attach the appropriate draft assets and maybe take back another bad contract. I think at this point, at this stage of the game, Chicago just has to stick with them, try to re-sign DeMar DeRozan. They brought back Patrick Williams. We'll kind of see how that plays itself out. But Kobe White obviously, really came into his own last year. It doesn't sound like Lonzo Ball's any closer to playing. Another guy that the Knicks dodged a bullet, not signing. I think at this stage of the game, Chicago's in that the worst place you can be in the NBA, where they're not bad enough to be bad and they're not good enough to be good, and you find yourself in that 9-10 playing game year after year.
Yeah, man, getting in with DeRozan and Vucevic and putting all their chips in the middle for those guys, it's put them legitimately in no man's land and with no relief in sight, man. Al, what's your thoughts on it?
It's funny that Tommy said that the Bulls are in that no man's land category, and yet who's the constant who was like that on a previous team? Vucevic with the Orlando Magic, who's in that same situation. Yep. But the fact that they're looking to pay DeMar 30+ annually that just screams, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just want to be middling. I mean, this team was ready to move Kobe White, and next thing they know, they found something where it's like, oh wow, he's actually good. Maybe we should have been playing this guy. I think the Bulls just can't get out of their own way. This is a team that really needs to just tank and just draft, but then when you traded your assets to get guys like Vooch or even DeRozan, you can't really go that route unless you get some sort of asset in return. And so they're just stuck in this category. And now they got Josh Giddey, right? And they traded Caruso. So, and they have the Lonzo situation where they still have to figure out as well. So this team is just going to be middling. I see them being in the same situation as they were this past season. They're going to be somewhere hovering around 8 to 10, give off some like good vibes during the year if you buy into it, saying, hey, this team could potentially do something, but then it comes back down to reality once play-in comes in, and then they just lose or they make it to the A seed and get washed out.
The Caruso trade was inexplicable in my opinion, because that was the one. If they had, I think somebody definitely would have taken Levine if you attach Caruso as kind of the as the selling point from that perspective. But then when they let Caruso go, didn't get any draft picks in return. And conversely, you see what the Nets got from Mikal Bridges. Obviously, two different situations and players. And
Tommy, they traded him to OKC, who has a bevy of first rounders.
More than they know what to do with. It just made no sense.
They could have at least gotten one out of OKC. You could have asked for, because what? It's just all those first round picks that they have, it all can't be worth something where it's like, all right, guys, you have so many, like we can't get just one.
It's just to sell it to our fan base, if nothing else. You know, just
Tough sell, man. Tommy, a couple more before we let you go here. Quickly got his bag over the weekend, man. Emmanuel Quickly got a 5-year, $175 million deal from the Toronto Raptors, man. What do you think about the Quick deal?
Listen, I think, and a lot of Knicks fans actually got mad at me. I tweeted that Leon Rose hasn't made many mistakes, especially over the last 2 years. But I was very surprised he didn't extend IQ when he had the opportunity last summer. I know that was a point of discussion we all chatted about for a while. It sounds like they could have got him for less than $25 million a year. He ends up, signing for $35 million annually. Listen, it worked out well for both sides. The Knicks obviously got OG and then re-signed them. So everything that ends well, it turned out fine. But having a very good player on a team-friendly contract like they would have had with IQ at that, if they had signed him for 22.5, 23, whatever the case was annually. I think we all appreciate what IQ did while he was here in New York. Was really a pivotal player in terms of turning things around and getting things back on track in New York. So I think most Knicks fans were happy. A little bit more than I thought he'd get, but listen, starting caliber point guard, can score, can assist, plays the right way, plays hard, great locker room guy. So I certainly think that the Raptors will be happy with their decision.
Then you got Obi getting his bag today. 4-year, $60 million deal for Obi. So Obi gets in the 15 range. What did you think about that one?
A little bit more than I thought, but I understand what Indiana's doing. Mid-levels around $13 million a year. Obi's getting around 14.5, so they prevented another team from swooping in. They used their leverage, the restricted free agency right prior to the start of free agency to secure that deal. So it's not like if they had lost him for nothing, he'd be easily replaceable from a salary cap perspective. Obviously, he's kind of been up and down. Started the season playing well, was demoted to the bench, kind of fell out of the rotation a little bit, or at least in terms of the consistent minutes he had been playing. Came back on strong towards the end of the year. It was a hit and miss a little bit during the postseason, but I think a good player for what they do. Obviously, he can get out and run. Needs to improve defensively. Turned out to be, as we had seen his last year in New York, a solid, reliable corner three-point shooter. Good teammate. A high flyer for Halliburton to throw lobs to. So I thought that the deal made sense for both sides.
Yeah, likewise, man. I'm not too mad at that one for Obi. Carved out a good role, but his limitations are what they are. So with the Siakam deal, kind of putting him on the bench permanently, like he kind of rounded out that second unit for the Pacers and got him as far as they could go in the playoffs, man. So we'll see what happens there. But Tommy, man, definitely appreciate the time. Let the people know. Tell the people about the newsletter where they can find you, man.
Yeah, as always, at Tommy B on Twitter, newsletter, What's on Tap, Substack newsletter. Definitely feel free to sign up. Would love to have you aboard, and obviously we'll be covering it tonight, tomorrow, days ahead, weeks ahead, free agency, all that stuff. And yeah, thanks for having me on, CP. I will be around the rest of the evening, so if something hops off, I'll see if I can hop back on and discuss. But yeah, surprisingly mild start to the beginning of free. Here we go, right before I left. Andre Drummond has agreed to a 2-year deal with the Sixers. 2-year
deal. Andre Drummond heads to the Sixers. Wow. Okay.
A backup option, potential
backup option off the board, ladies and gentlemen. Andre Drummond heads to the Sixers. 2-year, $10 million plus. So that's a little bit. Is that more than the taxpayer mid-level? Is that a little more? A little more?
Yeah. Actually,
or is that about it?
Structured, yeah, but it's right there. We'll see if there are any guarantees, et cetera, yada yada yada. But
all right,
they get some Embiid insurance there.
Definitely get some Embiid insurance, and one off the board for the Knicks, man. One off the board for the Knicks. All right, Tommy, man, thanks again, man. If anything, any other blockbusters, just hit us up, man. We'll send you the Zoom link, no problem.
I'll be around, fellas. Be good.
Yes, sir.
Later, Tommy.
It's Tommy Beer on the check-in. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. NBA free agency show. This is a KnicksFanTV and NBA report simulcast. For you guys on the KFTV side, make sure you guys are tapping in with the NBA report, man. We get you NBA coverage all season long. CP, Alex, Combo. We got Kmart on there, Kenyon Martin. So the NBA report is just taking form, and make sure that you guys are tapping in because we are getting bigger and better, and we'll be coming on strong, especially once next season starts up. So make sure you guys are supporting us over there in the NBA report for more NBA coverage. What'd you think, Al? Andre Drummond.
That hurts, man. Just because, look, and some teams do this too. They know other teams' predicaments. That's why you saw a lot of trades occurring, extensions. They didn't want players hitting free agency and potentially losing or going into a bidding war. This is a smart move by the Sixers. They needed a backup center. They saw that.
Paul Reed was trash.
Yeah. No, zero factor in the playoffs. And getting somebody like Drummond who, look, if you talked to me a few years ago when he was coming from the Detroit Pistons, I'd be like, absolutely not to Andre Drummond. Overpaid. And I think he was still believing that he was in that category of center that should be getting paid that type of money. But for a guy who's making, vet minimum type salary, mid-level, this is the type of guy that you would definitely want on your team just because of a strong rebounder. We talked about his defensive versatility. So for Philly, they bolster their front court just because Embiid is going to be missing some time. It's just you can just pencil that in every single season. So for them, that's good. But for New York, man, that hurts just because Isaiah Hartenstein's uncertainty. And Mitchell Robinson is going to be missing some time.
Yeah.
This would have been a good fill-in if he were part of the Knicks. You lose Mitch for a little bit of time. You still have a solid rebounder playing the 5 and a solid rim protector as well.
Yeah, good point. Good point by you, man. So, was that the Mitch effect? Did Morey and the Sixers see how bad Mitch was beating up Paul Reed and standing toe-to-toe with Joel Embiid that he had to go out there and get reinforcements? Mitchell Robinson, 2 years in a row, changing a franchise's plans in the offseason, man.
I mean, how about just the entire New York Knicks squad? I mean, Morey probably saw Bridges' deal go down, and they know the history of Bridges' mom used to work for the Sixers. They drafted him, then traded him. All right, you're now watching your divisional opponent, team that you faced in the first round that beat you in 6, by the way. Now they got better. You got to do something to get better as well. So this is definitely in retaliation to bolster their front court, add a little bit more versatility, but they're still waiting out for Paul George. That's the real thing. Drummond, solid front court addition, but this Sixers team won't take that next step unless they get a bona fide win because Tobias Harris, as we all know, 29 minutes, 0 points in a closeout game.
Out of there. He's out of there, man. He's out of
Strong Island's finest, as the CP would say.
Yes, he once was. He did. He represented us well, man. Shout out to him. Now it's on the greener pastures. But I just saw a funny commercial with Tobias and Boban again. They got them paired together again in a goldfish commercial. Did you see it?
Good. I have not seen that one yet.
You gotta
but hey,
see it. It's pretty
if they
funny.
want to reunite, whether it be for the Clippers, because look, they're going to need some faces, some names out there if they're going to lose Paul George. Maybe the Clippers go back and get Tobias Harris, or who Tobias has always played well under, Doc Rivers.
There you go. Does he go to the Milwaukee Bucks? You just never know, man. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for your boys, CP and Alex. On the ones and twos, a slow NBA free agency 2024 might be one of the most lackluster ones in history, because in the history of doing this show, we certainly look forward to a lot more, even when the Knicks were most notably on the outside looking in on many of the top free agents. That was usually the time when they would, land that mid-level splash. Last year was a big ragu. But right now, we're waiting on iHeart, he's getting wheeled and dealed, wined and dined. We'll see what happens, man.
Don't do the name. Don't do Obi like that, man. The big marquee things were we signed Dante, we traded Obi.
That was big. That was big. That was big. That was pretty big. All right, 774. What's your name? Where you calling in from?
How you doing, Andre? I'm calling in from Massachusetts. I appreciate the conversation going on right now.
Appreciate
it. And it is a priority. It would be good. I'd like to see iHeart possibly come back to the Knicks and support this team on the way to a championship and battling the Boston Celtics in 7 games. Mm-hmm. Nonetheless, if it doesn't happen, I can't really cry over spilt milk. It's going to be iHeart or it's going to be Mitch Robb. One of these two is coming back to fortify this starting lineup and or bench for this team to go ahead and make a run at the Boston Celtics. I'm over the moon. CP the franchise. I was debating what to do when the Mikal Bridges news broke, but I was thrilled that you had the emergency podcast. You had the emergency pod that night. You had I tried to get on. I could not get on because it was bananas.
The phone lines are bananas, man. We probably left like 20 people still on the line. We just couldn't do it. We had to end it at some point, but yeah, that show was crazy, man. Insane show.
It was bananas, so I'm glad we're talking free agency right now. Bottom line is this, and as I've called in, I've been saying this, we've completed La Cosa Nova. You can call the Nova Knicks. I say La Cosa Nova. In terms of bringing Mikal Bridges over to New York, this is an NBA championship team. It can go pound for pound with the Boston Celtics. This team could have challenged the Celtics last year if healthy, but with Bridges and Anunoby and Julius Randle, my last point is this. Anunoby, he only needs to play 65 games, CP, because we know Mikal Bridges is not going to miss work. He's not missing any days of work, even under Tom Thibodeau. So Anunoby can get his rest during the regular season. This team goes healthy into the playoffs. Boston Celtics, you got your work cut out for you in terms of next year's championship. Thanks for taking the call.
Appreciate it, man. Call back anytime, man. Only problem is, Al, yes, theoretically he can take his rest, but not when you're making $40 million, buddy. The Knicks fan is not going for that. I've been warning y'all. I've been telling y'all since the beginning when they got him. Once he gets the bag, well, don't tell me about, your toe is hurting and your toe is sprained. I don't want to hear anything about, tennis elbow going on. The Knicks fan is going to expect this guy to produce and be out there on the court. Regular season playoffs preseason don't matter. He's got to be out there.
Unfortunately, that is what the New York fan base is going to be looking for. But I have to ask and push back. What does it to you? Does it matter if he plays 50 regular season games, doesn't get any awards, but then is there throughout the entire postseason?
No, but I think in the macro, no, but in the micro, let's say he's missing time here, he comes back, he misses more time. You could see you can understand the frustrations that will come with that.
For sure. When we broke the news, CP, about OG being traded to the Knicks, I brought up his injury history, and I got pushed back from the fan base saying, Alex, why aren't you excited? And I'm like, because we traded 2 guys that didn't miss essentially any time. Yeah. I mean, RJ, you could pencil in for November getting sick or whatever, migraine or this, that, and the third. Yeah. But for the most part, you had 2 guys that were always available. With OG, you have to understand that he's going to miss time, and you have to understand that. However, and this is the other thing, even though they'll expect him to produce with the contract that he got, you look at what he did when he's healthy on the court. That's why you pay him. You broke it down. Look, if no one's checked it out, check out the show with Combo and CP on Combo's Court. You broke it down perfectly on that, CP. Look, As soon as he joined here and they got the winning record, and you saw what he could do, even when there was no Julius on this team, and he already had the Knicks in his corner saying, you got to pay me, man.
Yeah.
You can't give up to RJ and Quick and then not pay him. And then obviously the winning record, we talk about that. But then when you watch him in the postseason, when he is healthy and he's creating for himself, something that we haven't really seen him do in Toronto at all.
That's right.
That's taking it to a whole other level then. Now you're telling me that with Bridges, OG, Brunson, Randall, those are 4 players that can go create for themselves. And even if someone is missing, or like not necessarily missing, but on the bench with somebody else on that, you could have a Brunson and OG could still go get his. You could say it's Bridges and Randall, all right? And whoever's running point at that moment, all of them could create for themselves. And so once they saw OG do that, especially in the second round against Indiana, you knew you had to pay him. There was no question about it.
No escaping it. Okay, so that caller was he's optimistic, man. He's ready to run. He loves the Bridges trade. He loves the OG trade. Let's take it back a little bit, man. Let's bring some toxicity into this. We need balance. We're gonna go to the phones, man. We put the Ari clip out there on social media. It went crazy. I mean, over 1,000 comments on the on the KFTV Instagram. I mean, that was, we had cases of ketchup here made out of the Ari comment. So let's bring him back. Let's see if he's changed his tune. If he's allowed the weekend for things to kind of settle in. Ari from Manhattan on the Discord. Are you with us, Ari? Are you there?
I'm here. You guys hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. How are you, man? How you feeling today, man?
I'm doing all right, man. Obviously, the algorithm loves Ari. You guys call me algorithm Ari. It's what it is. Like, everybody hates on me, but they just keep on clicking on me and all this stuff. So, you're welcome, guys. But you know what's funny? 5 years ago, tomorrow, I called in when the Knicks were supposed to get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And everybody in the chat was throwing a freaking party for Bobby Portis, Nerlens Noel, and Elfrid Payton. And then one guy called in and said, "This is an unmitigated disaster. This is pathetic." And I got tomatoes thrown at me only to watch us lose like 60 games the next year. So, Alex, I know that you're getting a lot of pushback from people because you're using your critical thinking skills, right? And you can't say anything negative about the Knicks, or else they'll shun you and they'll laugh at you. You'll have like a 15-year-old in his mom's basement, like clowning you, right? But I speak the truth, man. Here's the bottom line. I'm okay for overpaying for Mikal Bridges because he's a good fit. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the Nova connection. I'm okay. I can see how good he is a fit. I know they make Knicks contenders. I'm not okay for paying double. I'm not okay for getting fleeced, okay? Yes, OG has, a lot of expectations on him. He's a $40 million a year. But you could take one contract, one unprotected pick, and get off that contract if you needed to, right? If he ended up, like, having serious injury problems. We gave up 6 picks for a role player. So you know who has a lot of expectations coming now?
Yeah.
It's Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges has a lot of expectations now. So it's championship or bust. But let's just tone it back a second with the iHeart thing. I actually happen to be a big iHeart guy. And again, only a Knicks fan will be like, don't worry, Isaiah, just forego $30 million and stay here because you love the Knicks, as if he was born in New York and he cares about the Knicks. Only a Knicks fan expects that. Go get your money, Isaiah, okay? You did a really good job. We would love to have you in New York. We would love to have you. I would much rather trade Mitch, who's never healthy. Okay, everybody wants to talk about how Mitch is so great. Yes, he's a really good offensive rebounder, but he can't hit a free throw if his life depended on it. He was basically giving himself compliments for working half the season, being like, "Oh, I played half the season, like I deserve some kind of medal." Right? Like, congratulations. I'm going to go into work on Monday and say I'm taking off Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you should be happy about that, all right, boss? I would much rather have Isaiah Hartenstein on the team than Mitchell Robinson, but Isaiah Hartenstein earned his money. And only a Knicks fan will tell someone not to get a $30 million extra. Now, I'll land the plane here. I like the OG sign-in. He's obviously the X factor. I like what the Knicks did in the draft. I think that Tyler Kohler kid is going to be really good, actually. He's a winner. I like everything that Leon Rose did, except for paying 6 first-round picks, for paying an Anthony Davis package for a role player. I like everything else that he did. But if we do lose Isaiah Hartenstein, right, we need to bring in a center who who has some semblance of an offensive game. He doesn't have to shoot a three-pointer per se, but he has to be guarded on defense. We can't play 4-on-5 on offense anymore. We just can't do it. And we need someone who's going to be healthy.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say is I really, really hope Paul George does not go to the Sixers, because if he does, that's going to be that's going to throw a wrench in our plans. But salute to you. You guys have been doing great work. And, listen, if you guys have if any of my haters want to go and do anything to me, you can find me on Twitter, man. And the algorithm loves Ari, bro. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Salute.
There we go, man. Algorithm Ari. You good people in the chat, man. We'll leave it up to you. Well, I'm just a conductor here. Rate that call in the chat. Come forward. If you're an Ari fan and you agree with him, come forward. Rate that call in the chat. 1 being trash, 5 being facts. I mean, it is bleeding red in the chat right now, Al. This might be a record amount of tomatoes right now. It's bleeding.
Might be the red wedding.
It might be the red wedding in Game of Thrones terms. And I got to catch up on Game of Thrones, bro. I didn't even catch up on House of the Dragon yet. Episode 3 is about to be out tonight. I got to catch up after this, bro. I got a lot of stuff to catch up on, man.
Telling me.
Yeah. Got a lot
I'm trying to catch up on the bear.
Right, man. This is crazy. Okay.
But,
so yeah, it's bleeding. The chat's bleeding, bro.
But Ari had some points, man. I think Bridges does have an expectation. I mean,
yes.
Look, for 6 picks, he's got to come through and produce, man. I mean, he has to, be healthy, and he has to produce offensively as well. And look, defensively, we have to see it. This whole team, and everyone's been talking about it, CP. Everyone's talking about, the Knicks have now, adjusted to battle the Boston Celtics. And the one thing I can't say is that, or the one thing I hate that everyone's saying is like, this team's only built to fight against the Celtics and nobody else in the league. Let's stop with that nonsense. And I'm talking to you, Bill Simmons, out there, to be like, this team is versatile.
Yeah.
Okay. This team can guard anybody with Bridges now on this team. This team was versatile before even getting Bridges. So let's just knock that out of here. Okay. That's far from the truth. But because we are gunning for where the Celtics are, and that's being a championship team, it's going to come down to how well does Bridges play against those 2 wings, whether it be guarding Jaylen Brown, whether it be guarding Jason Tatum. He has to produce when it gets to that matchup. Yeah. No questions. And so when we play them, it's got to be tight games. And I wouldn't say that he has to own either one of those wings, but he has to show up and say, we're limiting how much either one is going to be scoring tonight, because the whole point is to have OG and Bridges being your 2 perennial wing defenders and also give you something offensively where it's to now, okay, if the Celtics are throwing Tatum and Brown at us, and obviously Randall and Brunson will be those guys that will be leading the offensive charge. OG and Bridges have to be those guys that subsidize offensively as well, not only defensively. So both of them have to live up to big expectations this season and moving forward.
Yeah, no, there will be pressure on both of those guys for sure. The hope is that it's a collective, right? Brunson is still Brunson. You have Julius there. You have DiVincenzo still firing away. The report out there was that the Knicks are not looking to trade McBride in the Bridges trade, so you have to factor in McBride off the bench. That'll be good. I mean, this should be, about the collective. But when you do play up against those premier teams, just as you said, these guys are going to be counted on to produce, no question about it. So, look, I think the Knicks are going to have an embarrassment of riches. And no, it's not just about contending, or it's not just about building a team that can play the Celtics. The Knicks have now moved into an area where you're not just hoping to beat these teams. Like when Milwaukee comes to town, you're not just hoping for a good night. When the Celtics come tonight, you're not just hoping for a good night. When the Nuggets come to town, or whichever team, the Knicks are in a position now where they can legitimately beat any team in the NBA. Not just when they have a great night when everybody's fine, but they are built to beat anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a different territory. They are a legit top 5 team in the league.
That's why I get tired of hearing pundits say that this Knicks team is only constructed for the Celtics. It's much more than just the Celtics. Okay, we took down the Nuggets and we took down the Timberwolves after the OG trade. All right, you know what that means? This team is, we have the versatility to do that. We have the versatility to compete with any team, any style. Doesn't matter. And so the fact that you just add Bridges, who's another versatile player on this roster, like that, it just adds to the Knicks' ability to match up with multiple teams, any dimension possible. This is not like a Wolves team that was legitimately constructed to compete against the Nuggets. And we saw what happened when they went against a Dallas team
Mavs.
with two prolific scorers, right? And even though Dallas didn't show up in the against the Celtics, the Wolves didn't have an answer because they didn't have enough of offensive firepower to go against them. Against Dallas. So that's why I think it's just different, man. This Knicks team is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to the season to start, man. It's just, we're usually waiting for a summer league. What are the prospects that we're going to watch, CP? Now it's like, all right, summer league, man.
Yeah.
Wait for the regular season.
Even though I'm going to go check my guy Kolek out, though. I'm going to summer league to check my guy Kolek out. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's more of a name, and this is no shade to anybody for last year because we were out there. We saw Jalen Martin, right? And we were but this is different.
Bro, last year was brutal, man. Last year there was literally nothing to watch. Year before that was fun. You had Grimes and McBride. I got to cover that up close and personal. Got some locker room interviews with Grimes. That was a good year, and they made it pretty far. They made it pretty far. So
they made it to the finals.
They made it to the finals. Made it to the finals, and they got worked by the Blazers, but they made it. They definitely made it there. So. Interesting stuff there. Here is Ian Begley. I'm just pulling this tweet up. Hang tight. I'm just pulling this tweet up on the CP3 front. While we were putting that up there, according to Ian Begley, I'm trying to pull up where this quote came from, but Ian Begley basically shooting it down. That CP3 to the Knicks, there's no chance of that happening. So I didn't think so. I mean, look, I think CP3 in number one is washed. Number two, I think he stays out on the West Coast just based on where he is in his career, and he most likely ends up with the Los Angeles Lakers. That's my prediction. What do you think?
I don't even know where else Chris Paul could go at this point, man.
Yeah.
But look, the Lakers are being constructed by LeBron, all right? They got their guy in JJ Redick. They got his son. It wouldn't surprise me if they got Chris Paul. I mean, it's just tough, man, because I'm trying to, where was Chris Paul even this season? I can't remember where Chris Paul was this season.
with the Warriors.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because that's right. I'm sorry. It was so underwhelming watching them with the Warriors. That's right. Can't even remember they was on the Warriors. I don't know, man. Like, he's an aging star. He's not producing much. I don't know what the Lakers could get out of Chris Paul at this point. The real thing is that if you're going to have Chris Paul and you have D'Angelo Russell there, like, it's just, I don't know, man. That roster I don't think it's going to work out for Chris Paul either if he goes there.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to want Chris Paul to be Chris Paul, like, I get that's LeBron's boy, but, like, unless LeBron is okay with CP3 just running the show, because that is what he can do best. Is just the ball has to be in his hand and he has to distribute to everybody and set everybody else up. He's one of the dying forms of a traditional point guard. If he's not doing that out on the Lakers, then that sign makes no sense for that team. And we've seen this happen all the time with guys going to join LeBron and that players don't fit. But hey, we got other news that's coming through the wire.
Yep, let's talk about it.
We got Kevin Porter Jr. agreeing to a 2-year deal with the Clippers, but we just got KCP going to the Orlando Magic.
Okay. All right. There we go. Orlando, who had the
3
cap
years,
space.
$66 million for KCP
22
in Orlando.
mil for KCP. So the Orlando Magic are retooling. They are serious. They're trying to put a team around Paolo. And a good pickup, man. They're probably one of the best free agent two guards out there on the market. This is a big loss for the Denver Nuggets, I believe. I think this is a big loss. But for Orlando, big pickup, man. Good job by them getting serious there and getting a guy like a KCP, man. Good 3-and-D player, good veteran. You get a championship caliber player who's still at the top of his game in that locker room. That's a big pickup for Jamal Mosley, Paolo, and the Orlando Magic, man.
For sure. They need 3-point shooting on that team. They saw it in the postseason. You know, they were kind of constructed as the former New York Knicks prior to the trade for OG, right? And you saw that without 3-point shooting, even though they took it to 7 games against the Cavaliers, they never could force Cleveland to respect them from 3-point line. So they were always able to crowd the paint. And even though they didn't necessarily work for Cleveland to their favor because they're not necessarily the rugged team that you'd want to go up against somebody with Paolo in that front court, adding somebody like KCP to now help spread the floor, it's the start to now creating that space for Paolo to really operate and get to his spots. And so maybe this also helps out Wagner as well. Because I know he had some up and downs during last season, but this is a good signing for Magic. But damn, Denver losing KCP, he was
That's
critical,
big.
man.
That's
That's
big,
huge. Bro. So critical. He was really a big part to why they won the chip. Him and Bruce Brown. See, this is the difficulty when creating a team, right? It's like you have to make decisions, and then imagine you just had Bruce Brown for one more season. That was a guy who could help operate the pick and roll. It's tough, man, keeping a championship contending team in the NBA after you win one.
And this is, this year free agency, as opposed to many others, it's just one where that CBA, man, the CBA is crushing teams. And here's another example. Yeah, the Denver Nuggets, who tried to address this last year by letting Bruce Brown walk, or they couldn't afford to keep Bruce Brown. They let Jeff Green walk. They leaned in on their youngsters. Ended up costing them. The lack of depth, I thought, was part of what cost them, even though, look, they should have won. They should have beaten the Timberwolves by any stretch. And if they do, we might be singing a different tune. You might have had Denver and the Celtics in the finals. Who knows? But now, here it is again. They lose KCP, 3-and-D flamethrower, 41% from three this year, 39 from 42 from the corners rather. Good mid-range shooter, 46% from the mid-range. That's a tough loss by Denver, man. I don't know how they recover. Do they go out there and go get Bruce Brown back? Do they trade with the Raptors and try to get Bruce Brown? I don't know. I got to see what's going on with their cap.
But that's just one piece of the puzzle, though, CP. They need, they still have their starting four, right? You still have MPJ, you still got Aaron Gordon, you still got Jokic, you still got Murray. Obviously, this also comes down to Murray being healthy throughout the regular season too, and not missing time. But not having that legitimate 3-and-D guy, that's who they really have to replace, because that's the other guy that opens everything up for them. I mean, Gordon's not really a three-point shooter. Yeah. We know MPJ can be. Murray can be a guy who can knock down threes. So can Jokic. But they really benefited having from four players that can knock down threes, because then it opens things up for someone like Aaron Gordon to cut baseline. It opens things up for Jamal Murray when you have somebody who can shoot threes and just drive the lane, right? So that's how do you counter for that? And I see someone saying, I forget who it was in the chat, saying, "Oh, maybe now they really go get Russ." Russ ain't helping with that. Russ ain't helping with that.
Helping? Is Brody's not gonna help with that? Oh my God, Brody's gonna be out there building a brick house. Jokic is gonna be like, what is going on? We were just champions. That's how quickly, man.
But you know what? At least
no dynasties, bro.
Jokic's rebounding will definitely take an increase if he has Russ shooting threes, man.
Oh, yeah. So where did the Clippers turn, man? Call us up, 657-383-1509, or you can hit us up on the Discord. You can hit us up on the NBA Report Discord, the KnicksFanTV Discord. Let us know where you guys are at, and we will tap in, man. Salute to everybody watching, listening, wherever you guys are at. For my franchise channel members, go ahead and throw a custom emoji in the chat. Let us know that you are in here heavy. CP and Alex on the ones and twos, NBA Free Agency Show 2024. And pretty lackluster so far. Shout out to the Rhyme Animal Chuck D. Our $10 super chat says the OG money shook the cart. Brunson sacrificed the Jalen jersey will hang. JB is a made man. We love OG, but looking side-eyed. Bridges doesn't have that OG pressure. In my opinion, losing iHeart is bad. Losing Mitch hurts, man. Yeah, man. As Chuck in the chat says, CBA is making legends wobbling, man. It's hurting teams, man. But hey, we'll
just as the Knicks get good, now we have this crazy
more rules,
hard cap.
Yeah, they got more rules, man. Dan from New Jersey.
First it was the hand checking.
Yeah,
now it's hard caps.
Right. Dan from New Jersey, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay. Wah.
How you doing, man? How you doing?
CP, Alex, this is the first call that I've really had since the Mikal Bridges news, so I just want to give you my reaction to that real quick, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I love this trade for us. I was, just chilling that night when I saw it. I woke up the whole house. They go to sleep pretty early around here, and it's a great time to be a Knicks fan. I never in my life have I ever been in a situation in which the Knicks were projected to go to the conference finals and we're expected to have a shot at the finals and maybe even win it all. Like, this is surreal. So, yeah, love the trade. You know, I hope we don't give up Deuce. It doesn't seem like we are, but yeah, man, great time, love it.
All right, my guy Dan from New Jersey. Appreciate the call, man. Let me get to, or Al. Anything on Dan's comment? Anything on Dan?
No comment.
All right, shout out to Dan. All right, we'll load up some more people here. Zay from Maryland. Zay, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yo, what's good?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing all right, man. Just waiting it out, man. Seeing what's going to shake with this free agency. It's going to be a tough one, but you know, I think I've been thinking about it, and I think it's best if iHeart is, you know, we're going to most likely have to move on from iHeart. So I'm just looking at what other options we have as that we can pick up for center, because my thing is, you know, I would rather keep Mitch than trade Mitch and then get iHeart, because I feel like we're still going to be lacking at some point with the center depth. So, you know, if it's iHeart that leaves, then we just got to look at some low cost centers like Mo Bamba or, you know, I think, what's the center from Indiana? I can't remember his name.
Jalen Smith. Well, I mean,
yeah.
I just think, man, like, we need some more experience, man. Like that, I think the Drummond thing, going to the Sixers was kind of a big pickup, man. Because I just feel like, well, look, this is the byproduct of that CBA. It's like, you know, you might have a hole somewhere, and I think for the Knicks, it could be the center position. That could be a big risk this year.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. We just got to do a flyer on one of these centers and just hope that they stabilize just in Mitch's absence. So I don't know who would be the perfect center. I don't know if it's Justin Wiseman. I don't know who it is at this point, but I know we definitely got to start planning for what our center depth is going to look for. That's all I really got. But, you know, what do you think are some good options? I guess that's my last question.
Well,
you guys can...
well, it ain't great. You know, you got Bataze still out there. Like we talked about, Jalen Smith. I'm just looking at my notes here. Let me take a look. Valanciunas. We'll see where Valanciunas goes. Does he go to the Lakers? And can they afford to pay him a little bit more? That's the thing. Like, we still don't know how much money the Knicks have to deal with right now. The hope is that if they add more salary outgoing in the Mikal Bridges trade, then as we played the Bobby Marks soundbite, then they could potentially free up to $11 million where they could add more to the roster. So, you know, it's hard to really say, but the options aren't great. Like Christian Wood, no thanks. You know, is Mo Wagner a real option? That would be cool. You know, I think Mo Wagner would be a good option. He's tough. He's rugged. He could definitely play here. I would definitely go with Mo Wagner. You know, but the options ain't great, man. Go ahead, Al.
For sure. I mean, you know, prior to the draft, there was thought that who was it? They thought the Pistons would take Klingon, right? If they did that, you could have thought about Drummond being an option that the Knicks could have traded for, because they would have had two centers out there that, you know, they're probably going to invest in Klingon since they drafted him. And that's the other thing. I think you got to look at trades at this point. Like, who could the Knicks trade for the 5 position? And look, there's been rumors about the Pistons giving up on guys like Ivy and Durant, so that's why I was thinking that maybe that could have been another option for New York. But as a free agency goes on right now, man, Drummond was that option. Look, if you lose Hartenstein, I think you still want to bring back Precious, just because he's a guy that knows the system. Like I said earlier, he's shown that he can get gritty, but you need somebody who's a true bona fide center, who's like 6'10" and up, and who can protect the rim, just because that's what Tom Thibodeau needs. But as Ari even noted when he called in, you want someone offensive as well, man. You want somebody who you have to guard and that can do some passing, and that's the tough part. Is that
how about Tice?
Hartenstein on Tice?
Yeah, how about Daniel Tice?
He's kind of washed, man.
I mean,
no,
like I told you,
what are we doing?
The options ain't great, man.
What are we doing?
I'm looking at Tice. Tice.
If you're calling Tice, you might as well just call Taj at this point and see if Taj has got anything left in the tank.
Thomas Bryant. Anybody?
Yeah.
People in the chat still hanging on to that Mo Bamba dream. They want to bring Mo home in the worst way. Okay. Tommy B mentioned Drew Eubanks. Not that impressed. How about Mason Plumlee? Anybody?
I would take Mason Plumlee.
Could be an option.
Who else is there? What about the center? What is it from Orlando? What's his name?
You talking about Mobamba? Bataze.
Bataze, yeah.
Bataze
would be
Xavier Tillman. He had a good showing in the finals. Does Boston bring him back? So there might be some options, but the thing is like if the Knicks lose Ihart and you're talking about just Mitch here, and he goes down. Now you're talking about Xavier Tillman, Sims, Mason Plumlee, Sims. Like they're going to be in a tricky spot. Yeah, I did. They're going to be in a tricky spot, man.
What about Sarge?
I'm good. He's washed. He's beyond washed. All right, say appreciate the call, man. All right, let's get Way Too Mellow in here on the Discord. Way Too Mellow, how you feeling?
What up, CP? What up, Alex?
How you doing, man?
What up?
All right. Been we're already good here on this whole free agency thing for the most part, so I'm not stressing. I really just wanted to come in here to chuckle a little bit at 76ers fans and their desperate pursuit for Paul George. And I just wanted to say I hope they sign Paul George to a maximum deal for, what would it be, $250 million, something like that?
It would be, I think it's 212, I believe. Either 212, I think it's 212.
Well, I hope they sign him to a max deal, him or Klay Thompson, and then we could whoop on that for the next 5 years, because Paul George don't put no fear in my heart. I didn't want him here. And best case scenario, I think, is him going to the 76ers. Yeah. I think we're going to get Hartenstein back. I know we're very nervous about it right now, but I don't think he wants to leave. I think we had a good time here.
Yeah, he did.
He's still going to make millions of dollars. And
yeah.
Do you guys really think the Thunder want to pick up a big that can't shoot threes? I mean, they play 5 out, basically like 2K offense, where they just let SGA go one-on-one at the top. I don't think they want a big that can't shoot. So that's my opinion. I know we're all sitting here nervous. I think everybody needs to chill. I think we're going to get Isaiah Hartenstein back. Maybe we have to, make some moves with the trade with Brooklyn, but I think we'll get him back. I hope the 76ers sign Paul George for $250 million for the rest of their lives. That'll put us in a good place for Joel Embiid.
Let's go.
All right. Have a good one, man.
All right, man. Salute.
All right.
And especially with KCP going, does that, put more focus for the Sixers in Paul George's camp? They need him. That's just without question. They need him.
They do need him. But I was just thinking of another name, CP.
Yeah.
Another 2 names that not thrilled about, but if you're that desperate to look for a center, there's a team in the Pacific Northwest that just drafted a center, all right, from UConn. Yeah. They have 3 on their roster.
Oh,
DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams.
Ah, boy. Well, no, the Time Lord wouldn't be a bad idea.
I'm thinking Robert Williams. I was not thinking DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah. No. No DeAndre Ayton, please. Time Lord, maybe.
He's also injury prone, so to have him and Mitch on the same team would be
that would be a little iffy.
That'd be tough.
Yeah. Christopher Blake on the Discord. Go ahead and unmute your mic. Christopher Blake.
CP, salute. Appreciate y'all as always.
How you feeling, bro?
I'm chilling. I was over in the NBA Report Discord, man. I'm like, yo, coach, man, you got me on the bench. I need 2 minutes.
I saw you, man. I saw you. You were in there, man. Just appreciate you for repping.
Always, I always try to support.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to start calling myself the Messiah, the prophet. Something is going on. Again, more people are starting to switch over to the dark side. There's a guy I want to look into, right? It's going to sound crazy, but I think we should throw a little bit of that minimum to Bobo. Why not? He is offensively talented. Tibbs already has a center on the roster they just drafted who, if you're going to develop, why not just try and see what he can do? You know what I'm saying? Give it a shot. And he can stretch the floor, and he can block shots. He got to put a little bit of weight on him. He's skinny. But at this point, we so close to the cap, we got to think outside the box. That big guy who we normally would go after probably isn't there. We gotta look at something else. Try something different. Just give it a shot. See what happens. Why not? What can you lose? Worst case scenario, you put him on the squad, you don't play him. So what?
Looks like
You know what I'm
Bol
saying?
Bol already signed, man. I mean, yeah.
He
Looks like
signed
Bol Bol-
already?
Yeah, man. Christopher Blake, come on, man. You said you was with it, man. You said you was on top of things, man. What's going on, bro?
Man, I gotta recalibrate.
Yeah. You gotta refresh.
All right, then I guess I'm
This
on
is-
the Bo. I'm on the Mo Bamba train.
Well, just get him out of here, man.
Back on the Mo
Let's get.
Bamba
They about to. The tomatoes are about to start coming out, man. I'm telling you, save yourself, bro.
CP, why is it that
Yeah. All right, man.
this is
I had to save him, man. This-
CP? This would be the third season, by the way, because what's technically the new NBA season starts on the day of free agency, right? This is 3 seasons in a row now that we're going to go through random center names. They were like, should we bring Tyson Chandler back? Like, who are we calling now?
Oh man, somebody Kobe in the chat said worst take. Oh man, he just kept stumbling. He couldn't get himself up, man. He couldn't keep himself up, man. He just kept going further and further down the hole, man. Oh man, oh man. It's all right, man, Christopher. Sometimes you just don't have your fastball, man. It's okay, man. You call back anytime, man. Yeah, he's late, man. Yesterday, Bol signed back yesterday with the Phoenix Suns. KD was letting him walk. So
I mean, you got the rumors between KD and Houston.
Yeah. What's that about, man? Well, what is that about, man?
Why is KD always in trade rumors now, man?
Yeah.
Is he not happy in Phoenix? Isn't that where he wanted to be?
I don't understand. I don't understand the whole Houston thing. I don't get that at all. I don't get that at all. Okay. What else we got here? Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP franchise, Alex Rotaros on the 1s and 2s. Okay, we got somebody in the chat saying Knicks got Monte Morris and he's spamming the chat. Let's get him up out of here. Let's pack him up and block him.
Dwight Howard. Oof.
Yeah, let's get him out of here. We only allow one person to provide us with fake updates, and that is Robert Randolph, our resident insider. So let's get him out of there. He's out.
Would you trade for Steven Adams, who's on Houston?
I guess. You know, they do have many second-round picks available. I wouldn't trade any premium assets unless they get desperate.
They do have Alperen Sengun on that roster, so that's why I'm thinking like maybe if they're still buying into Sengun, maybe you can go get Steven Adams.
Potentially. You know, I wouldn't be trying to trade a first-round pick for him. But
no, not a first-round pick.
Yeah.
But I think that's one thing. I know he's coming off an injury, but
yeah,
maybe that's one way you could say, hey, if we lose Hartenstein, you know, you just double down on just having legit offensive rebounding.
That's true. Let's catch the people up on what's going on today. Obviously, you have, for Knicks fans, Isaiah Hartenstein. Looks like he's just getting started with his free agency process. He's meeting with the Oklahoma City Thunder today out in Eugene, Oregon. Not sure if that's where he's from, but that's where they're meeting. All right. Is he getting a Nike deal? I don't know. Is he from Eugene, Oregon? I don't know.
I think he is from Oregon. I think he is from the Oregon area.
All right. So he's out at the crib getting courted. And you have Paul George, who's set to meet with the Clippers, the Magic, and the Sixers between today and tomorrow. So pretty lackluster free agency front. Patrick Williams, 5-year deal with the Chicago Bulls, $90 million. Good luck to him. Alex Len, okay, not newsworthy. CP3 getting waived by the Golden State Warriors. James Harden signs a 2-year, $70 million contract with the Los Angeles Clippers. They're talking about Brody could get traded to maybe the Denver Nuggets. Klay Thompson looks like he's out of there and leaving the Warriors. It says, according to Shams, Klay Thompson is departing and the sides will begin to work through sign and trade options. So where does he go? Does he go to the Lakers? And with the Magic getting KCP Do they bail on the Clay experiment, or do they still go for him?
I think they still go for him because they still need shooting. I mean,
yeah, they need shooting.
Well, Clay at this point is not the same Clay that he was when they won, the first three. I won't say the fourth one just because he still wasn't. He was on the downtrend then. He was okay, but he wasn't that same guy that was, really the splash brother with Curry when they started to, rise to their fame. I still think you go for him. I think because he's not that same guy, you could even say, hey, we can carve out a role for you as being the sixth man off the bench. I hope Clay doesn't view himself as a starter in this league just because we saw in Golden State, if you can't, hold your own weight next to Steph Curry, who's drawing all that attention, I think that's telling that, you're on the downtrend. Now, maybe he does bounce back, and that's certainly possible, but I think if you're the Magic, you could sell Clay on being a sixth man out there, providing more shooting, veteran leadership for a young team. That wouldn't be too bad for him.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with Clay, man. Call us up.
Or does Philly lose out on PG and go all in on Clay?
That would be a disaster. Call in 657-383-1509, or you can hit us up on the KFTV Discord. Did I go to this guy yet? Let's go to Adobo9634. Adobo, how you feeling?
How's it going, man?
Good, man. What's your name? Where you calling in from?
I'm Alex. I'm calling from Bergen, New Jersey.
Bergen. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, I think everyone's overthinking this whole center thing with iHeart. I don't think we need an iHeart. I think we can win without an iHeart.
Okay.
So I think everyone is just, paying him this much money. I mean, we can just get Mason Plumlee, get a Marcus Morris, and then that's all we need, man. We just need role players. After this, we have a really good team, so we don't really need to pay iHeart $20 million. We can't pay him. We only like $16 million, right? So what I'm saying is, we just need another role player. We got a role player in iHeart when we got him from the Clippers 4 years ago, and it's the same thing. And we just get anyone else who's like a center. We don't really need someone who's like a big name, and we will be good.
Okay,
that's all I'm saying.
All right. I'm gonna let you go here, man, because the tomatoes are gonna start flying. I want to save you here, man. Your first time calling, man, Adobo. Chat was getting a little agitated, so I had to drop you off, man. I don't think they're feeling that.
Why was he whispering to us? What was he?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Why are you whispering, man?
I'm not.
Call back anytime, but why are you whispering? Who are you hiding from?
He might have his library voice on. It's not to say that. I understand this, with the iHeart thing. It's not to say that he's an irreplaceable guy. I think that he filled, or from what we saw this year, he filled I thought he still filled a very unique role, a versatile role, that just made this offense a lot more dynamic than what Mitch can. Again, not a knock on Mitch. It's not better than or different than. It's just different than Mitch. It's different. Completely different. And I liked how they functioned with iHeart there.
Yeah, look, I like Hartenstein in that starting five. And his passing, his shot making, he's more well-rounded than Mitch when it comes to playing, on both ends of the court. So that's why it worked so well. But it's more so the passing for me and the floaters, right, that really transcend that starting five to another level because, you're not Mitch, even though he's a great lob threat, because his lack of offense of creativity, you don't have to really plan too much to stop him, and then it just slows down that starting five. And while Mitch is great defensively and great as an offensive rebounder, I just think the more well-rounded fit, which is Isaiah Hartenstein in that starting five, helps this team move forward. So it's tough, man. It's tough because both players are good in their own right, but we're just talking about fit at this point.
Right.
Right? I think if you put in a vacuum who's better, I would say they're both around the same, just because talent wise, like what they offer the team as a skilled player, but based on how they fit with the starting five, Hartenstein fits much better than Mitchell Robinson, and that's why for this team and for some players they're worth more than another team.
Another name, a good name people bring up in the chat, we'll see, there's nothing official yet out of Golden State, is Kevon Looney. Shout out to Crypto Sky, $5 super chat. Says if we lose iHeart, we can go after Kevon Looney. Not sure what direction Golden State is going in. Got to see what happens. Does he get cut? CP3 just got cut. Do they do the same with Kevon Looney? We'll see, but that would be a good option. $5 super chat from the Ryan Manos. Chuck D says, I don't know. iHeart showed up passing, shooting, blocking, perimeter defense like few Knicks 5. That's what I'm saying. I've seen this century. He was a good two-way player, man. G5 Wheeze, salute, says, if we lose iHeart, I would hope we go after a stretch center. Might not be there, right? Might not be available right now, though. That's the thing. Maybe next year, but I don't know. We'll have to see there. I see King Deej on the Discord. We're gonna close with you, Deej. That's why we haven't gone to you yet. Kareem the Dream, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Y'all can hear me?
Loud and clear. How you feeling, man? Welcome back.
I ditched these AirPods.
You good?
So you can only hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Main question: how much does KnicksFanTV trust in Leon Rose? Like, let's say things, we expect to get Mikal Bridges. I mean, it was a long shot. Everybody said we wouldn't do it, and they did it masterfully. So between now and the trade deadline, like, what is our faith that whatever happens will be like the right move for the team? And how confident are you in getting to the farther in the playoffs than we did this year based on Leon Rose's work?
10.
10.
Yeah. They're earning it, man. They got us Brunson. They got us they got you iHeart. I told them to go get iHeart. They got him.
Yeah.
Paid off dividends. They turned Quick and RJ into OG and Mikal Bridges. And a lot of assets and a lot of draft capital, whatever. They're getting it done, man. They got Dante DiVincenzo. They developed, McBride.
Yeah.
Cooking
I mean,
on all
that,
cylinders, man.
Like, who's an unexpected piece now? Is this rookie who's an offensive player? Is he going to back up Brunson and be a new star? Like, I don't know.
That's a good question, man. I don't know if they lean on Kolek to be the backup point guard. Do they try to get a veteran? Again, it's hard to know without knowing how much money the Knicks have left to spend right now. We just don't know because the Bridges trade isn't final yet. Yeah. So that depends on the quality of player that they can get. Like, I would still love to see them get like a Marcus Morris, but I don't know what I mean. Not Marcus Morris, a Monte Morris, but they probably can't afford him. So it's gonna be interesting to see if they really lean on Kolek or do they go with Deuce? Do they give Deuce the opportunity? I don't know. What do you think, Al?
I would expect Kolek to get so. I think Deuce is going to get the opportunity to shine. Let me start off with that. Deuce is going to get the opportunity to show what he has worked on this offseason. Mm-hmm. If he still is not the playmaker that second unit needs, I could see Kolek starting to get some shine here or there. But it would also depend on how Kolek is playing, during practice, during the preseason. I mean, we've seen quickly, drafted, get into that rotation, and just start to thrive, right? So it wouldn't surprise me that Tibbs could put trust into another young player, but it all comes down to giving Deuce that opportunity to shine first. So he did it for Grimes, right? He did it for Fournier, right? Well, let's think about 2 years ago where it was Fournier was the de facto starting shooting guard, didn't work out, then Grimes replaced him. Following season, Grimes was the de facto starting shooting guard, didn't work out. Then he replaced him with Dante. I expect McBride to get the same treatment as those other two guys before any other change gets made.
I agree with you. I definitely agree there. People keep asking about Rokas. Rokas ain't coming, man. That ship is probably sailed for the time being. So we'll see. No updates from Woj Shams in the last 30 minutes. So This has been a doozy of a free agency 2024. It's been an absolute doozy.
90
It's
seconds.
been an absolute doozy here. All right.
Even your British assistant is telling you to
Yeah,
cut it.
even my British assistant is trying to cut, man. But we are still here. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. CP and Alex on the ones and twos. NBA free agency show, a.k.a. Knicks Offseason Central. Let's get it going here. All right, let's get to a couple people on the phones here. 551. What's your name? Where you calling in from? 551.
60 seconds.
All right, man. This guy's not ready. We're going to drop him off and let him get back to dinner. You got to turn down the volume. When you're coming on, when you call into the show, people, turn down the volume in the background. Al, you want to know what's so funny, though? You know, I'm always getting on people for rocking the earbuds, right? So SY hit me yesterday. Yesterday I was chilling. Like, I should have had the studio with me because I was out on the road. I should have brought the studio with me.
You weren't prepared.
I got lazy. I was like, whatever. Whatever. I'll have to adjust. SY hits me like, yo, we need you to come on tonight. I wasn't even planning on it. So last minute, I had to scramble up. I didn't have anything. No mic, no camera, no nothing.
10 seconds.
So I had to, just use what I had, man. I had to MacGyver the situation. I ended up using some earbuds to do that.
Oof.
And then what do you know? I had some nerd who commented on the video, oh, don't people know how bad earbuds are for sound quality? It's like, listen, man. You can't make it up, bro. Can't make it up.
Were they wired or were they wireless?
No, they were AirPods. They were wireless.
They were AirPods.
Yeah,
AirPods. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I had to do what I had to do. What was I gonna do?
Why does it sound like CP's going through a tunnel?
I had to. The first comment on the video. Don't people know how bad AirPods do? I said, bro.
CP thought he had the night off.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for, man. So
CP, this is the on season. You should already know.
You know what? You're right, man. You're definitely right. But no, we still had a good night, man. Me and wifey had a good night. We did an escape room. You ever done one of those? Where they lock you in the room and you gotta like think your way out of the situation?
An escape?
Yeah.
I haven't done an escape, but I've done like other puzzle rooms in the past, and they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun.
Now we did the escape room. We made it out at the buzzer, literally like at the buzzer.
What was the room? All right, CB, paint the picture. What was the room? What did it look like?
It's hard to describe, man. But basically, it's hard to describe, without completely boring people. But fact of the matter is, we made it out with about 30 seconds left, and so that was good, man.
CP, I'm more invested in this escape room now because you're talking about being bored to death. This free agency is boring.
It's boring, Come on, man. Yeah, no, they're fun, man. They're fun. They definitely get you thinking. Good teamwork, good team building type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was just the two of us. Some people going like groups of four. Yeah, some people going like groups of four. So, it was just the two of us. We like to, handle it a little privately and just troubleshoot our way out of there, man. So, we got out of there. Watch the UFC. Watch the Pereira fight.
Okay.
Yeah. Completely dismantled this dude with a standing leg kick that just took the dude's head off. It was incredible. And so, yeah, that was pretty much the weekend, man. Did a little bowling. You know what I'm saying? Got my Al Bundy on. Yeah, did a little bowling.
Oh, you're a bowler, too. Look at this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I do a little bit of everything at my age, man. Try to stay active. Do a little bit of everything,
Okay. All
yeah.
Right, look at this guy. He's painted the town red, as they would say, huh?
Yeah. That's it, man. These are the type of activities that you get into,
Did you play any shuffleboard?
No, I have not gotten to the shuffleboard, man. Should not have it. Did not get into the shuffleboard, man.
I'm just wondering because you get up there in age, CP. You're talking about not getting the naps. You talk about
naps are critical.
Come on, man.
Naps are critical, man. So that's it, man. Being old. 845. What's your name? Where you calling in from?
Yo. Calling in from Gainesville, Florida. Come through clear?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear. How you feeling, man?
Feeling good, man. Good to be on the show. Long-time listener, long-time Knicks fan.
Appreciate it,
man. Shout out to you guys, man. Yeah, really love the show. I just wanted to rapid fire, just two quick things.
Okay.
So one, a guy that we haven't mentioned, I felt like Omar Youssefin, I saw, just got waived by the Jazz.
Okay.
I don't know. That's all. We like to develop guys. He's still young. I feel like someone maybe we can still get in and maybe get going. But then another thing I just want to touch on, I'm kind of worried about the Jalen Brunson extension that's looming, because if he doesn't, take that deal right now this offseason, then I feel like next offseason we might run into a little bit of trouble when it comes to money. I know I'm looking a little bit into the future, but just thinking as far as the team's constructed and with all we gave up for Mikal, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to just see how that's going to affect us, as we go down the road here.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting, man. We haven't heard anything on it just yet on the Brunson front. But I think even with this Mikal Bridges trade, they're going to be tiptoeing along that second apron. They're just going to be towing that line. So we'll have to see if Brunson gives him a break and frees him up there, Al. And then he says, Omar, you're 7. Just got clipped by the Jazz, man. Your thoughts on that potential?
I think he'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's like he'd be an okay center. What you're really looking for is, like, when I look at Mitch, when I look at Isaiah Hartenstein, you want guys who are going to be strong centers, guys who are going to be able to play physical. I don't see him as a physical center. I see him more as a finesse. So that's the thing, is playing for the New York Knicks, a gritty team, you're going to need a player that wants to get gritty. That's why losing Drummond so early, as we talked about, that would have been a guy that could at least fit that type of role. So, look, man, I mean, if the Knicks are going to be a second apron team, just go out and just pay Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, you might as well just walk in at this point.
Yeah, true indeed, man. True indeed. All right, man. Appreciate the call, bro. All right, 917. What's your name? Where you calling in from?
Hey, my name is Sal. Can you hear me clear?
Loud and clear, man. You talk a little bit louder, though. A little bit louder.
Yeah. I had a couple ideas going on. I'm just thinking, if we're looking at the free agent point, if Isaiah doesn't stay, if we can get Isaiah on that $16 million deal, there's no better option than him. He's analytically one of the best players in the league.
Yes.
But if he walks, we got options to go get Jonas Valanciunas. And if we look at the trade route, we don't know what Atlanta is doing. And Clint Capella is a name I'm really interested in. I just want to know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I just don't know in terms of for the Knicks. Like, are they like, they don't have draft picks that they can really trade in terms of first round picks. So it depends on what a guy like Capella could be had for. I'm not sure if trading is the route, unless it's, salary for salary, which gets even more difficult as they creep up on these aprons.
I mean, you could always do a sign and trade with Isaiah Hartenstein if he walks, and get a trade exception back to move on to go to for Atlanta.
You mean trade Hartenstein to Atlanta?
No. Trade wherever Hartenstein wants to go. You sign and trade him for a trade exception, and you use that trade exception plus whatever else you want. Jericho Sims, maybe.
But
even
do they have access
McBride
to that trade exception if they're an apron team? I'm not sure.
I would have to look into that.
Yeah.
But I think they could do it.
Okay. What's your next idea?
Just based off the talent, Jonas Valanciunas, I think he fits the same type of play style.
Sure.
He could shoot a little bit. He could move around with the ball. He could pass the ball. And I don't think he costs the same amount of money that Isaiah Hartenstein cost in this year. And the other thing that a little bit worries me about Isaiah Hartenstein is that he did this in a contract year, and I'm always skeptical about players in their contract years. But he's analytically one of the best players in the league, and if we can get him for that $16 million, that's like winning the lottery.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Because with iHeart, he always was a high motor guy, even before he got here. To me, this year was more about just him being more comfortable and developing. Just playing better. He's a smart player, man. And he's always been a high motor guy. So I don't know. I'm not sure I buy the contract year thing where it just kind of came out of nowhere. It seems like he legitimately just got better.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's one way of looking at it. But this far into their careers, I don't know how much better players get.
Okay. Appreciate the call, man. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I think Isaiah did get better. I mean, he's only 26 years old. He's just starting to enter his prime. He has much more to go. And let's remember, like, this is a guy who would have gone higher if he didn't get, a fake injury about his knee as disclosed by the Nets, which he never had, and then he dropped and then had to work his way up essentially from, being a G League type player to now being in the position where he is. I think we have to take that into consideration too, and why this is a difficult decision for him because, look, growing with the Knicks and being a critical part of what they did to get to the postseason, you just don't take that for granted. And, there is a love for him being that glue guy. I mean, you talk to Fred Katz, and he's one of those glue guys. And, look, I'm sure he wants to stay with New York as much as possible, but the opportunity that he missed out on because of where he was drafted and how hard he has had to work to get here, he can't just turn down an opportunity that potentially the Thunder could give him a lot of money. So it's a difficult situation for him, man. And he's not, as we see, like, he's replaceable, but he's not replaceable, right? He's replaceable because you can go out and find a center, but when it comes to certain free agency like markets, there's not necessarily somebody there. And so now when you start to look for players like, as the caller said, Clint Capella, you got to be careful when you do sign and trades because it can either hard cap you at the first or second apron. So that's not necessarily a move you want to do, especially if the Knicks are trying to be under the second apron.
Right.
For them, it doesn't make sense to do a sign and trade. It just makes sense, like I said. If you're going to be a second apron team, though, like, just go out and sign Isaiah at this point. It doesn't really matter. But there's too many moving pieces for just to get Isaiah back, man, where this is where the Mitchell Robinson rumors of him being in trade rumors came up because, I could see the Knicks valuing Isaiah Hartenstein more just for his well-roundedness with that starting five. It's difficult, man. It's tough because as a Knicks fan, I want to see this team just run it back, right?
Yeah,
you get Bridges, now I want to see them run it back, be that strong team to go against teams like Boston and Philly in the postseason, see who they face, whoever it may be in the finals. But if they get there, this is tough, man. This is
Tough
absolutely
biz.
tough.
Tough biz. Let's go to Roxo the Clown on the Discord. Roxo the Clown. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's good, guys? How you doing?
How you doing, man? What's your name? Where you calling in from?
From Westchester, but I'm at the Delaware Beaches for the summer. Anyway,
914.
rapid fire 1 point. Y'all are gonna laugh. I'm gonna get tomatoed.
Yeah.
Steal to look out for on the minimum, I think, is James Weissman.
Okay.
The dude put up 25, 9, and 5 against a fully loaded Celtics. I'm just saying, I think that's someone that, he's still good on defense. He's still athletic. He just hasn't had the right coach.
Okay. All right. So he wants to take a flyer on Wiseman, I don't necessarily think that's the worst idea. It's not the worst idea. Maybe he just hasn't found his fit. He's still a very young player, and he the Golden State thing, I clearly wasn't a fit. Then he went to the Night's Watch, which is the worst fit. Shout out to Quentin Grimes for getting up out of there. Detroit might be the worst place. That's where players go, where careers go to die. So, hey, he is 23. Could he be a guy that could be had on a vet minimum?
It's not the worst idea.
Not bad.
I would say that the issue with going with Wiseman is that this team is ready to go now.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And, like, Wiseman needs time to develop.
Right. We don't have time for that.
If let's say Wiseman went to a team like the Cavs with Atkinson, maybe that would work, even though they're in a position where they got to win now too. Like, they have to prove to the Spider that, hey, we're worth the time.
Yeah.
We got to figure something out. But Atkinson, known as a guy who's developed players, maybe that could be a situation. He has to go to a place
maybe
like
if
that.
they trade Jared Allen eventually, who knows? He might have an opportunity.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, but he has to look for a situation like that where you can go to a winning team with a foundation that, is on that trajectory. Like, if this was last season, I would say yes. Bring Wiseman in. Maybe Tibbs can work something out, and then that would be okay because the Knicks, it wasn't like, all right, we're all in right now. This is a championship built team. This is a championship roster. We got to go. Right? I would have said fine last season. This right now, if you lose Hartenstein, you need somebody who's ready to execute, understands the course of an 82-game season, understands what it means to go through the postseason because it's different conditioning. It's a different mindset. You have to be bought in. I don't know if Wiseman is ready for that, even though he was on the Warriors, because it didn't work out there.
Yeah. All right, here we go. A little Woj water pistol, if you will. A little water balloon. Paul George's agent, Aaron Mins of CAA, and Clippers president Lawrence Frank had a conversation a short time ago that resulted in no new movement on a deal and an acknowledgement by both that George is unlikely to return to the Clippers. The Clippers' exit leaves the 76ers as the frontrunners to land Paul George on a free agent deal. The Sixers contingent is set to meet with George tonight. So Paul George to the Clippers, to the Sixers. There we go. Clearly the Clippers didn't want to give him the extra year. And he's taking his talents to Philly, man. So that's a three-headed monster. Maxey, Embiid, Paul George in the Atlantic versus the Knicks. Here we go. Get your popcorn ready. The East is getting loaded.
And for round one, not playing in the first round,
Paul George,
Joel Embiid and Paul George. Tyrese Maxey set to do it all by himself.
Again.
And he.
And Kelly Oubre. It's Tyrese Maxey and the Kelly Oubre show. I can't wait, man. But hey, all right. So there it is. He wanted his money, and he's going to go to Philly and get the money. It was a match made in heaven. And what was up with the Shams? See, this is the whole thing with the whole Woj and Shams thing, and why, like, I just don't buy into it that these guys. The other day, Shams is reporting that the 76ers have cooled off on Paul George. I never believed that for 1 second. I thought that was all cap. It made no sense. They needed him. They had the cap space to go get him. And they were a front runner then. They were a front runner now. And now they're going to get him.
Here's the thing, CP. Look, we know teams like to do this where it's like, oh, well, we've lost interest in this to cool the market down because you know how other teams are like, oh, you're interested in Paul George? Let's make a run so that way you spend more money and ruin your caps. Look, this is essentially, there's so many levels to, how free agency works. It's not only the team that's like, I need that player because it makes it better. Sometimes you get involved on deals because you want to make that ante go up, right? You want to not necessarily put all your chips in, but you want to make sure the other guy is like pushing enough chips in that you break the bank. So, look, I could see why more is like, I want Mood to be slick. Hey, we're not interested in Paul George anymore. It's like, come on, man. You guys need Paul George like a fish needs water. Like, stop with this. All right? We know you need a wing. It wasn't Tobias Harris, okay?
Nah.
Once again, 0 and 29 minutes. You know you need somebody. But if you want to pay that guy, by the way, a guy who has not played, let me pull up the stats. Paul George has missed so much time when he was on the Clippers, man. He has not this is the first time he's played over 70 games.
Yeah.
This is his first season playing over 70 games for the Clippers. 74 this season, last season 56, 31 the year before, 54 the year prior, and even during the COVID season where it was stopped short, he only played 48 games.
They are about to max out a 34-year-old Paul George. Maxey's going to get his bag. And this is it. This is the team the Sixers are going with.
And so you talk about a team that's about to be hard capped, right? Because you got Embiid, you got Maxey, now you got Paul George because they're going to pay him. At this point, if you said, hey, we'll trade you a first rounder to get off Paul George if it doesn't work out, I'd be like, no, I need more than that.
Yeah.
I need more to take on a contract for a guy who I know is not going to be playing most of the time.
Gonna be interesting. Look, he's certainly gonna make them a better team, especially when you think about the attention that you got to send to Joel Embiid. What Maxey can do out of that pick and roll, just being an absolute blur. I mean, Paul George is gonna benefit immensely playing off of those guys, and then being able to create himself. But like you said, the question is, how long will this last? Because maybe after year 2, the Sixers regret it, but this is just where they are, man. This is just where they are. So, all right. So, sounds like PG is headed to the Sixers. What do you guys think? Leave some comments in the chat. If you're a Knicks fan, are you scared? Do you not care? Let us know your thoughts, man. 8:17 on the East Coast. CP and Alex, we've gone 2 hours into this thing, and we're going to get ready to wrap up soon. I got to catch up on my Game of Thrones, get some dinner, and we'll be back.
Sure that, so the reason why my internet cut out, by the way, CP, earlier, apparently one of the electrical wires caught on fire down the street.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
Whoa.
So then that was earlier in the day. I didn't know that because I was out. So then you had the electrical company just cut off the wire. So without anyone like, hey, we're cutting this off, swapping it out. So that's why I got off there for a bit, man.
Did they not know it was NBA free agency? Or maybe they're Celtics fans and they don't care.
I walked
They're
out
already
in
done.
my hat, be like, "What is going on here?" I went out to I was like, "Hey, I'm doing a show over here."
They're
Can I
probably
get some
Celtics
notice?
fans, man. They're not up on free agency. They don't need to be. So, yeah. Totally understandable, but you back up and running. All good, man. All right, let's wrap it up with King Deej on the check-in. King Deej, close us out, man.
All right. Mic check. Everything
Yes,
good?
sir.
CP,
Loud and clear, sir. How you feeling, man?
Oh, man, I'm feeling good. First and foremost, chat gang, hit that thumbs up button for your boys. 3.1, 921. Gotta switch that.
Mm-hmm.
So Ari get some tomatoes. I heard a guy whisper. Oh, man. Hey, Alex, CP, we got rich people problems. And with that being said, who would have thought? What a time to be alive. Paul George, 34 years, going to the Sixers, and they're still not better than the Knicks. Yeah, I said it. They're still not better than the Knicks. So I'm going to leave with this because I was going to make it rapid fire. I want to make sure I handle this the right way. We all love iHeart. We'll salute him if he leaves. We'll make sure that the day that he comes back, a round of applause. So I'm trying, first and foremost, I'm trying to make sure I can convince him. If he can't, if he can't, I'm looking at two names circled because I agree with Alex 100%. I'm not trying to, take care of some new project when I got to rely on. The word of the day, CP, is reliability because we know Mitch is going to miss some games. So I'm looking at two names, 2 7-footers. I mean, one of them is 6'11", but they're both very, very, good playoff role players. I'm looking at Mason. I'm looking at Big Val, part of the CAA Mafia. I don't know if Big Val is going to take such a pay cut now that we know that the Pelicans are going a different route. And I don't know what's up with Mason Plumlee. But I'm here to ask y'all, what do y'all two think? As far as the chat gang, salute to everybody. What a time to be alive, man. Paul George is going to the Sixers, and the Knicks are still better. Let ESPN have their little parade. We know what's up. CP Alex, what's up, man? Shout out to y'all.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, with Drummond off the board, those are naturally the next two for me. You need experience, bro. You need experience. You need innings eaters. Plumlee gets his knickknacks here and there. Valanciunas, he's steady. Good rebounder. He can maintain the Knicks' rebounding edge. But those are the two, man. You need guys with experience, guys that are ready to go from day one. And those would be the next two on my list. Al, what do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Plumlee, and I wouldn't mind. The thing is, Valanciunas is cool. He's not. It's just I just think about the defensive versatility, man. He's so slow-footed when it comes to the perimeter, and you know that they purposely put him in the pick and roll so that way someone can get downhill. And I'm just thinking about if you're playing Boston, that's essentially what Drew and Derek White or anybody's going to look for if you go against him, and that's where they'll play your hand. The good thing about Valanciunas, he has an offense, right? And so whenever he's on the floor, you hope that his offense outweighs his defensive presence. So it wouldn't be the worst option, but I'm just thinking from a standpoint how does he fit on this on a Knicks team? It wouldn't be the worst thing. I don't know. Plumlee, I would lean more towards Plumlee than Valanciunas though. But hey, CP just got some news from Sham Sharania.
Okay.
Detroit Pistons plan to sign Cade Cunningham to a 5-year, $226 million deal, maximum rookie extension. So it was James Edwards of The Athletic. He covers the Pistons.
Good for him. Sign the check and ask for a trade. Okay.
Oh, you know that for sure. That is what's happening next.
Sign the check and get out of there.
Ain't no way. Man.
Bro, what a place, man. What a place. Where careers go to die, man. Woj says Clippers remain steadfast on a 3-year deal similar to with Paul George, similar to what they gave Kawhi Leonard. They didn't want to budge on the years, and George is getting the 4 years. Philly's going to give it to him. This was easy to predict. Clippers are proceeding into free agency armed with the mid-level exception at 12.9 and the biannual exception at 4.7. So there they go. Maybe they get Kelly Oubre and some other guys to pair up with Harden and Kawhi Leonard. But you can pretty much forget about the Los Angeles Clippers and their championship aspirations because that ship has sailed. Goodbye. Okay. Salute to everybody who tapped in, man. Great show. Be back at it tomorrow for a Bleacher Report simulcast. We'll be back on the lunchtime stream. See if anything goes down with Isaiah Hartenstein, but nothing new. He's meeting with the OKC Thunder today. We're also hearing that the Magic are interested. Does that change with their acquisition of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope? We also heard that Detroit could be interested because they're going to have money to spend, and they could probably give him the most money there. So let's see what happens. Jay from PR, appreciate it. No, you're not team hashtag new. We definitely appreciate the support. Shout out to the Haiku homie, man. Says Pac Home Dadiet, Taco Falls, Shane Battier, and 3 Scrubs with a great name. Nice. Shout out to the Haiku homie, man. The Realness, Al, $10 super chat says iHeart's IG captions pertaining to the Knicks always say family over everything. FOE. He better walk it like he talks it, or he's gonna get tomatoes when he comes to the garden. What's up?
No, I'm just.
Yeah. Gotta be careful, man. These people don't miss anything. Janelle Torre, $5 super chat says, "Yo, CP, if we lose iHeart, there's always Renum spoons." Shout out to Janelle. Oh man, shout out to that Martin reference for sure. Okay, great show, man. Remember that the show's available in audio podcast format, man. No reason to miss it. If you did, shout out to the replay gang, man. Just hit the reset button, the rewind button, and catch us on the replay gang. Support our sponsors. Go to manscaped.com. Use our code KFTV for 20% off plus free shipping. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. We've been going crazy since the off-season, man. We are over 80,000 subscribers and on our way to 100 before the season starts, man. So like, share, and subscribe. It goes a long way. Continue to watch. Leave us some comments. We'll hit you guys back. And we appreciate all the support, man. TM, we out of here. Gamble, we out of here. Ryan Manimal, Chuck D, we are out of here. Tyler, Jalen, the whole squad. Al, great show. Appreciate you, Tommy Beer. We out of here, man.